Austin Beach, Peyton Adams, David Tregamba, Ryan Holm, Seth Preston, Jeremy Kowalski, Kenyon Moran, Braden Brunk, Sean Calderon, Colton Thompson, Jesse McNett, Brock Lassiter, Evan Halterman, Danny Mills, Ian Batson, Justin Harris, Dawson Nixon, Bryson Hevelin, Max Duff, Dylan Smith, Taylor Grawl, Ted Glassy, Joey Gillum, Ethan Sloniker, Joey Nielsen. You're passed. And when I say passed, we are giving you the pass to move into the A class. You've been given your hall pass.
The graduating class of 2019.
You're in. Show up, quit racing the B class, quit racing only plus 25, quit racing plus 30. All of these guys are A skill level riders. If you know them, if you're listening to this podcast and you know those guys, tell them that they have been mentioned. They've been named in the Over the Bars podcast. Because they need to know you're in. Whether you know it or not, you're ready to ride the A class.
This feels so serious right now.
It does, really. I kept wanting to pipe stuff in the middle of that, and then I decided I should not, because this is like a motivational, like a summoning of the A riders. It's like you're giving a graduation speech is what you're doing.
To an extent,
a commencement speech.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Or I'm knighting you.
Yeah.
But the other part is, who allows you to knight?
Whenever you are a knight, you may knight. There are two people that can knight someone. The queen
so
and
you're the queen.
And a knight themselves. We don't have a queen. So only the other knights can knight the new knights.
I didn't know knights could knight.
I didn't know that either.
Knights can knight.
Almighty Knighter.
So,
yeah, not one of those dudes that you mentioned would I be afraid to ride with at any point.
No.
Like, that would be awesome.
Okay, so the number one thing that I hear is I'm afraid to I don't want to get in the way. Well, what isn't getting in the way being competitive?
That's what happened when I moved up.
Unless it's practice, then ride your own damn practice. Stay out of the A practice.
Aubrey mentioned that whenever I was talking to her on the way over here about how, we were going to go through this. And she's like, yeah, but you realize that almost every time you guys have a podcast, you bitch about slow people riding the A class practice. And I said, we're talking about novice riders that are going out there just for the sake of riding with. Here's one for you. Yesterday at Best of the Midwest series, there was a kid, I'm not going to name his name, and I'm not going to tell you where he's from, that was riding the A class that is qualified for the regional at Millville in 250 novice.
You're talking he rode A practice?
No, he rode A class, raced in the A class. I've always heard on Vital in the pits of guys, pro riders, qualifying for the novice class at Loretta's, and I actually saw it for the first time by some of the other guys that were riding the A class and that were pitted with me. Said, by the way, that guy is qualifying for Loretta's in the novice class.
Was he fast?
He was fast.
How is that possible? Is he using two names? I don't understand.
I think if he didn't use a fake name, then he's a fucking dumbass. And the results are posted. They're online.
Did he beat you?
No, he got last in all 4 A motos. But still, he signed up in the A class. And allegedly, he did it just to race with faster racers. I'm on board with that. I get that. The only problem is,
it's against the rules.
It's against the rules.
Just like, and we'll probably get into this today when we talk about the paying, like the big bike open class and whatnot that Best of the Midwest does. Like,
no, Missouri State does.
Or Missouri State, whoever does it. Like, that's not right. That's not legal, but it's a gift card, so it is legal, but it isn't, but it is. You know what I'm saying? And
it's an A class.
Right, but you're not allowed to ride it.
Uh-huh.
I never thought of that from a legality standpoint.
Well, and it wasn't a thing when we were full on racing at that point.
Yeah, I know.
That's new for this year. They cut the pro class guarantee payout down to 100% plus $300 and diluted some of that other money to Big Bike Open plus 25, plus 30, and then they have another plus 25 and plus 30 both pay. They have 5 places guaranteed payout.
What does a third in Big Bike Open pay?
Roughly
$50.
$50. It's like it pays top 4 or 5. It's like 175, 50, 25, something like that.
So I could have rode free at every state race I went to.
Or you would have gotten. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
nice
to me, like if you like dive into the fine print, like every one of those dudes is an A rider because they accepted money.
But
for
they're
winnings.
taking gift cards,
right,
Scott? Gift cards.
Yeah,
I see. Yes, because if you, I ran into this before. So if you pay a kid,
if you accept any type of money, cash money
for what you're doing, you're a paid professional.
There have even been instances of collegiate athletes
right.
being a professional in another sport and losing their amateur status and being disqualified from competing in the NCAA.
Wow.
Yeah, so like let's say you are a professional golfer and a collegiate basketball player. If you accept cash on the PGA Juniors Tour, you're out of the NCAA.
Okay, so now I understand this is very hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
You go to a golf tournament that is big in Kansas City, and it's a cash payout, and you win it.
Yeah.
Does that make you could that potentially affect you in something else?
That would be, well, I mean, sure. If
depends on who's reading the rules on the other side, who's the interpreter of the rules.
I mean, it's the same situation as like going to bar to bar for the Pro-Am. It's a Pro-Am. It's a professional amateur event.
So all the people in any sport that like go on Facebook and they flash that they won $500, they're potentially setting themselves up.
It all depends on how the rules are wrote, man.
Yeah.
It just like the AMA legitimately considers you a professional rider or A-class rider if you accept money
for results,
for race for winnings. Now, what I've seen people do is I've seen people win like a dash for cash as a B rider or something and turn the money down. I have seen that.
Yeah.
And
I was a damn professional side-by-side racer. I won $125 one time.
There you go.
It's official. Officially official.
You were pro. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's okay. Yesterday I was talking to Talon Shiflett. This is one of the most important things that I've ever heard anyone say, and it's so rudimentary that I can't believe I forgot about this. Talon was talking about his first race in the A class at Merwin. The day's over. He got like a first and a fourth overall. He goes to the trailer. He collects his money. He walks away, stops, opens the envelope, and has a moment where he realizes, I can never go back now. Once you earn money as a motocross racer, it changes everything because you realize all of those times that you were racing for a trophy meant nothing. And once that first time that you get your money back, there is a sense of accomplishment that you're not going to get anywhere else in motocross racing. It's like being knighted. It's the official, you have made it. Now, not necessarily in a professional sense, but yesterday, Best Midwest Series, 265 entries. In the pro class, there were 10 riders in Open Pro. Do the math on that. That's 5%. Less than 5% of the entries were pro riders. Okay, so you take that 5% of the top. That's pretty badass on any given weekend to be in the 5%, the top 5%. Doesn't matter. If you are the fastest guy in the B class, in my eyes, there is no nobility in being the fastest guy in the B class. There is unwavered nobility for getting last in the A class.
The problem is if all the people you just mentioned move to the A class is like 82% of the entries. So
Good.
Good. That's the way it should be. That is the way it should be.
But then it's not so prestigious anymore.
Is it not?
Every one of those dudes is going to get way, way faster.
Mm-hmm.
Just in one single race weekend.
Yeah, you know what happens?
So?
You know what happens?
100%.
You know what happens when you ride the A class? You get faster.
Because you move or get moved in the A class.
Yeah.
That's usually how that works.
Or you shit your pants and just
Pull
go
off.
Yeah.
Wave around.
Yeah.
Who's the other cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who won the B class yesterday?
I don't know.
Okay. Was he on your list is where I was going with that.
I don't know.
Probably should have been.
I didn't look. He could have rode the A class. Whoever it was. It doesn't matter who it was. He could have rode the A class.
How many times do you encounter, I've seen it a lot, but you personally, have you been running with a guy and then you look over and you're like, this guy's a B guy?
On practice days?
Yeah. Not on race days. I mean, like,
Every time I go ride. The other day I went riding at Chris Zeber's house, and Peyton Adams was in front of me on his Honda 250F, and for a solid 3/4 of a lap I couldn't pass him. Peyton doesn't race. Why not? If I can go on a fucking 125 two-stroke and get third in the pro class at Best in Midwest, 200% plus $500 in one class. 200. Let me say it again. 200% plus $500. We're talking about a guy that I couldn't get past in 3/4 of a lap, and he's fucking around and he doesn't race. Why not?
what was that percentage one more time?
200% plus $500.
So explain that to the people who are listening.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people that don't know. So
they don't know percentages, 150%. What is all this? So go ahead.
All right. So there are 3 standard payouts in A expert pro motocross racing. 100%. The most easy example is to say there's 10 riders at $40 an entry. So you have 10 riders, $40 an entry. That's $400 in the pot for that class in 250A. At 150, you've now time and a half of that. So that's $600. At 200%, that's now $800. That's where everyone takes their money. Okay. All the ride. You got 10 riders, $400. The promoter then doubles that to create incentive for faster guys to come. You pay a higher rate, faster talent comes. Then you've got an $800 purse in one class. Yesterday, we had 7 guys. So that's 7 times 4, 20, 280. Thank you. Sorry. 280 times 2. So now we're at, Mike, hit me again one more time.
Let's go with 560.
That's right. Yeah.
I think.
Okay. So now we're at 500.
Someone check our math.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So we now have $560. Okay. Plus an additional $500.
$1,060.
$1,060 for 7 guys.
And
split up between the top 4.
I'm saying pays the top 4.
Pays heavy. That's pay heavy.
For 2 motos.
A cumulative 28 minutes on the bike.
If you all 7 riders split it equally,
Okay.
$151 per person
That's pretty fucking good.
just for riding.
Just to race.
Yeah.
Just to go out and race. I would take that.
Yeah.
I would take that.
That would be like a make money, like for us.
That's a make money situation.
That's a make money situation. That paid for your gas, it bought your lunch, and it paid your entry.
And that's one class. You still have the other class. You ride both classes, you're now at $302 just to go racing. So then the question is, okay, so these guys that we just named, what's their incentive to move up? Because so many riders tell me, I don't want to get in the way. I'm not competitive. I'm not fast enough. I don't want to go race all day. Now, the number one thing that I've been reading a lot of opinions, comments, forums a lot of people are talking about the races having low entries. Okay, Best of Midwest 265 yesterday. Missouri State round 1 was around the same. That's pretty standard.
Which is low compared to 5 years ago.
Now the hard thing to, or I'm sorry, and we've said this, ad nauseum. The recession hit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a contributing factor. The recession hit. Less people are getting into motocross racing. As motocross changes, more people with money are the core group of, the average income is higher today per trailer than it was 10 years ago.
It has to be.
Yeah. Okay. Understandable. Now, there are people out there that can afford to race motocross, and obviously they do. Along with that, and we've talked about this before, comes private practice tracks. All right. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this may piss some people off. If you own a private track and you own or operate a practice track, something like that, listen to me very closely.
Listening.
I'm all ears.
Personally are causing detriment to the sport of motocross racing.
I'm not listening anymore.
I'm not agreeing with you.
Now, hold on.
Okay.
I haven't finished, okay? I wanted to say that very boldly. If you are riding at that track the same day that there is a race, Sunday.
Fair enough.
That's a tough pill to swallow. Because what would you rather do? Have your own perfectly manicured, in your backyard motocross track, and you invite your buddies over and you grill cheeseburgers and, fuck off for a couple hours and ride your dirt bikes and ho-hum and everybody's having a good old time. All right? You're just having fun. It's just another day of fun. It's a good time. But the backside of that is it is causing problems for the racetracks. And it doesn't matter how many fucking private practice tracks that we have. If people aren't showing up to the races, people aren't going to the dealerships to buy parts. They're not going to the dealerships to buy bikes. The tracks are closing. It is a vicious cycle. This is one of the major contributing problems in low entries is there are too many options. There are too many places to go ride.
I'm waiting.
Okay,
I'll wait.
Yeah. If you are having your little prep practice for you and your buds on the weekend, I'm sorry. That is a tough pill to swallow, but whenever you are opening the gates to your private practice track to you and your friends, the same day that there is a motocross race within, I'm just going to say 4 hours, why don't you just get off of your ass and go race? Is it because it's such a long day? Is it because it's the competition hurts your ego whenever you can go out and ride really fast on your track that you already know? I don't know is it the convenience? Is it the money? It can't be the money because it costs a fuck ton of money to build a track. So it ain't the money. Why are people having other people come ride? You should be going racing. You have to race. If you do not race, the tracks cannot stay open. If the tracks cannot stay open, we don't have a sport. Your thoughts?
Oh, wow. Okay. I was real ready there for a little bit, and then now it became my turn, and it's like...
The laptop was bouncing.
Yeah.
I think everything got kind of fuzzy there.
So there's a couple... I think this is very geographic. I think this is a...
Midwest problem?
Yes, an upper Midwest problem. I don't think this bothers anyone in Texas because there's not a lot of guys in Texas that have a practice track. Now, obviously, we're not talking about Texas, but a guy that lives in Dallas has 5 different tracks that are racing on Sunday to go pick from.
Which to an extent. Now, here's the thing, and that's an easy target. Okay, the Dallas area is a bit of an anomaly because it is so large. It is essentially Los Angeles type population. you know, and there,
It's different.
It's
different. And that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it affects anyone like that, and I think that's why it's so geographic. I mean, Kansas City's definitely the problem, but there are so many practice tracks right now because there aren't public tracks to ride. To practice, to do anything like that. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And to what else are you going to do? I mean, for example, Chris Zieber, he bought and built a track so he can have somewhere to ride because he was sick of not having anywhere to go.
Okay.
So that's just an example. And now he didn't. He went and raced Sunday.
Yes, he did.
But he hasn't raced in 2 years.
Yeah, no, he hasn't.
So when he's had his track for like 10 months, so that doesn't really count. But,
right.
But I mean that is a big piece of it. I mean, I think the other part of it is, I think a lot of these guys with the practice tracks or whatever that are riding on Sunday instead of going racing is, well, they weren't going to go race anyways, or, you know, vice versa, whatever.
Do you really think that they wouldn't go race on Sunday?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay,
here.
and good. We need that. Yeah. We need to have the other side of the fence.
Okay, as someone who has a practice track,
you're killing it, Mike. You're killing it.
No, I agree. I actually, believe it or not, I agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to take it to another level.
Okay, go ahead.
Another thing that I think is killing tracks and races is I understand that everybody wants to make money and it's business, but if everyone could work together just the slightest bit, it would, instead of, let's say in Kansas City we have 500 motocross racers. Racers.
Yep.
Instead of having 3 races all piled on top of one another, and I don't mean weekly races. I'm not talking about but instead of having within the region or whatever you're going to say, 3 major races scattered away and dividing everybody up, why does not everybody work together a little better? But going back to the practice track thing, no, I agree with what you're saying, and I see it. So our track is not really a modern-y track; it's a vintage track.
Yeah.
But there has been some really prime weekends that I thought it would be really cool to have a bunch of vintage guys out. But I see there's a vintage race that weekend, so I'm like, no. And yeah, my dad lives there, so my dad's going to go ride there.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice on that, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, I do a big part of this most of the time, or do the best that I can when I'm putting schools on, to be 3 hours away from wherever a race is happening, or a different state, or the other direction, or whatever.
Or you are latched onto the event itself.
That's what that was my other one I was going to say.
Yeah, which adds attraction to the event.
Yeah,
instead of taking away, because you have a following, you have your core customer base, and if you give them the option of, let's say, you know, this weekend, hey guys, you know, if you don't want to go race at Best of Midwest, let's have a class at Merwin, but you're not going to do that. And you're smarter than that. But that's not necessarily the case for a lot of other people. And I'm not talking about motocross coaches, but just
people that have tracks, or people that are going to the sand dunes or something. Hey, let's get everybody together and go do XYZ instead.
Yeah, how about you just go fucking race?
I don't know, man. The hard part is what is keeping people from going to the track, and it's becoming more and more niche. And you probably see this in RC. We've kind of talked about this before. It's, you know, why? Okay, at Adrenaline, they had their first race back after reopening. Yep. They had 0 50 riders at the race. And 0.
Yeah,
I don't know of any race that has had 0 50 riders.
Mike looks like he's about to explode. Mike looks like the meme of the kid in the classroom with the red face, and he's got a vein popping out of his head. And it says, like, when you haven't told anyone you're vegan for 10 minutes.
He nailed something. He just made me think of something.
Go.
Here's the other thing, okay? With social media and all that, I get that a lot of track owners are not internet, social media savvy and all that. Practice tracks, whether they mean to be or not, are better promoted than race tracks.
You heard it's so right.
And I'm not trying to knock on anybody. Okay, I'm really not. But like Adrenaline, I had no idea that race was even happening, but I could name 3 tracks that week that were having a non-prepped practice. Hey, bring your own beer.
Yeah, Sweeney's, Riverside, bar to bar, whatever. Yeah,
there is no, and it's like, if you want to talk about the series races, the state series races, if you want to talk about the Best of Midwest, they do a pretty good job on social media.
Yes, they do.
But there's a lot of tracks and a lot of races and stuff that I don't even know they're racing until either you text in group and say, hey, I just won the A class. And I'm like,
That's-
where are
yeah.
you?
Right.
What?
30 minutes away.
Right.
Yeah. But people
Yeah.
that have practice tracks, they're amped up about it. They're usually a younger generation.
It's
They're on social media, so they're pumping it up. They're like, I just built this track, come ride.
So the people at Adrenaline, for lack of a better way, and I mean, I would tell them this to their face. I don't know who they are, so I can't, go up to them and be, hey, you did it wrong, but you did it wrong. They did it wrong. Whenever it came to that first race, they blew it on social media. Now, I don't expect somebody that has never had a motocross race to knock it out of the park on, day one of having your track open. I don't expect that. But what I do expect are photos of the track, updates, mentioning the new things that you're changing, having a class listing for your races, things like that, okay? Mike, let's say you want to go into business, okay? And your business is XYZ Incorporated and you sell trinkets, okay? Now,
Mike's into trinkets.
Yeah, he's a trinket guy.
Yeah.
All right, so in your trinket shop, the first thing that you are most likely to do is probably, if you know, hey, there are other trinket shops out there that make money. Should I model the base of my trinket shop after those trinket shops and then adjust for, your own selling flavor? Do you think that you might look at those trinket shops and say, what are they doing that draw customers?
I have a graphics business, and yes, I do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Graphic, sticky trinkets.
Yes.
So whenever you open a motocross track and you want to have a successful business, don't you think the first thing that you would do is maybe get on Instagram or Facebook and find the most successful tracks and just copy what they're doing?
The problem is, what track around here does that?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, you're just saying in general.
Yeah.
In general.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect example. West Craven MX. I don't know where it is.
Dude.
It's somewhere in like West Virginia, somewhere over there. Okay. It's North Carolina, something like that. It is one of the coolest looking motocross tracks, and they have races, they have practice tracks. It looks so awesome. It's on my bucket list. Okay. It's just some random track out there that I've never been to. I don't know the people that own it, but it looks awesome. You know what they post, Mike? They post photos of the dirt.
Of the track.
Of the track.
Yeah.
The dirt. The track. Okay. Now, let's say your business is owning a motocross track. Are you going to post a photo of the gate at the entryway? Or are you going to post a photo of the dirt bike track, the reason that people are coming?
I would assume dirt bike track would probably be a good idea.
Yeah. So that just...
But see, here's the cool thing about social media is you could do all of that.
Oh, you can.
Because there's no limit.
Yeah. Oak Hill.
you
Oak Hill
can.
does a good job of that.
So here's the part of that, and I don't know if I need to stand up for Adrenaline or not.
And I don't mean it to be personal
No,
against them.
they're the first ones to admit that they
Yeah.
are figuring this out one race at a time, figuring it all out, and they're the nicest people ever, and it has a ton of potential. So
and
I'm
I
looking
look forward
to
to meeting them.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, and you could go around the board. Tracks in Missouri don't even have like Instagram pages. It's somebody's name. Look at Challenge Tracks, Kingsville. Where'd you go this weekend? You go to Ryan's Instagram if you're on there.
Yep.
Which that's just how they operate. I get it, but you could go across the board. I mean, to Moberly. Does Moberly have an Instagram?
No Instagram. They have a Facebook that literally is just Steve saying, "Races tonight. Sign up at 5."
And I mean, Archview. You go to theirs. It's probably outdated. Most of their stuff is outdated.
Along with
Cahokia doesn't have one.
Yes, Cahokia actually does have an Instagram, but Mike doesn't.
But they don't do anything with it.
Nate Pierce started it, and
so here's the deal: if it comes to social media, whether you're a track owner or whoever you are that uses it, You have to use it.
Yeah.
Like you can't just, oh, we have an Instagram and then not put anything on it, especially for events coming up or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. So that, but I think that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
That somehow we just ran ourselves into.
Yeah, that's what we do.
But as far as getting people to the event, getting people places, that's definitely where they have to put the draw into, no matter what track or series that it is. But like you said, Mike, the practice tracks do a great job of it because all 5 of your buddies are posting videos of it, and all 5 of your buddies have 1,000 followers, and all 5 of your buddies, everybody might see the same photo twice.
Yes.
But it's because 5 of your buddies shared it.
I have 2 things.
Go ahead.
One, this is very ironic because we do an absolutely terrible job at the OTB Facebook and Instagram page.
We're also not responsible. We don't have a product.
This
We're
is
not.
true.
We're not selling entry.
This is true.
Yeah.
So do as we say, not as we do. My second thing is, the other problem is if
Hold on, wait a second. Look at Scott's personal business Instagram. Look at my business Instagram. Look at your business Facebook.
Yeah, we do good with all those.
Yes, exactly. So we do good with our individual
Yeah,
businesses.
we just don't do good on OTB.
Yeah.
But we also can't even put together a schedule of when we're going to get together and
that's
do
true.
a show.
That's true.
Which maybe Monday nights is the night. Maybe this.
Well,
your schedule
it was an
was a
anomaly that I was
disaster,
off. Yeah.
My other thing, okay. The people that are most familiar with social media, that generation, which I'm including myself in that, were not hard workers. Most really great track owners are of a different generation and are really hard workers that don't give 2 shits about social media.
Okay.
Well,
So this is where I feel like a track used to have to hire flaggers, a scorekeeper, a guy to drop the gate.
Yeah.
Now, in today's time, if you want a successful track, you need to hire someone that is dedicated to your social media.
Jeremiah hired 2A management to start the KC Moto Facebook, and I actually started his Instagram for him. And then now that's our OTB Facebook or Instagram is the old KC Moto Instagram.
And
Fun fact.
And when KC Moto first came out, like
4 years ago, whenever it was, yeah.
there were people literally like, I heard they're gonna have a nationals this year. I heard that and it was huge.
Yep.
And
hundreds of people showed up.
Yes.
Hundreds.
Yes.
Yeah.
to practice
To practice, yeah. Before they had races.
the day before the race, because half of those people didn't come back for the race day.
We had
Which
more.
takes us back to the original topic.
Yeah.
When he built the side-by-side track back in the back, which was nothing.
Yeah.
We had more side-by-sides there than we did at several of the races that I went to. Just for practicing. We were just out there in the middle of a dust bowl. There was one guy back there with a flag, and we were running around this. But he it was social media promoted so well. All of us with side-by-sides, we were like, we got to go do this. This is going to be cool.
So it's funny that you say that, because I was talking to Ryan Wohlberg yesterday about some ideas that I have. And Ryan said, above all, the number one thing that we need is for our A riders to actually, he's like, he said, Jeff, you know it, but these other A riders, they just show up, they race, and they leave. They never talk about the races. If they do, it's 7 days after the fact. There is a social responsibility whenever you are in the A class to help promote. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Quit thinking about the payout as being because you're so fast on the bike. Think of the payout as
A thank you for coming.
a thank you for coming, a thank you for helping us promote, a here's for your tenure.
That's a good way to put it. And I'll tell you what, I think we might have talked about this in our group text or whatever, but I remember when you used to go to the races where the pros went. Where's the big pro out? Because that's where the pro guys were going, and that's where you wanted to race. Mainly because usually the track was really good wherever the pros were going. But then there was also a time where we would race on anything that you could start and finish at. But that was a whole... It was kind of different, but you went where the pros went. I mean, even if you go back to when you were a brand new A rider, or when Brian and Doug were running the show in Missouri State or whatever. For one, it was a different time back then, but you went where the pro riders went. The biggest races were where the biggest amount of pro riders were at.
You know what else? You know what wasn't at that time. Somewhere to ride on the weekends.
Yeah, also
Full
that.
circle.
Well,
You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
I mean, you painted the picture for me because, okay, we think of those golden years, 04. Let's just go with 04, all right? Where did we ride the most in 2004?
Grand Valley.
And?
Kingsville.
No.
Oh.
Arnold's.
Yeah. Practice track.
You ever rode to Arnold's on a Sunday?
No, because we all went racing.
Exactly.
And we were all parked next to each other.
Uh-huh. They're...
Man, it's so funny that this is the topic too, because and some people like him, some people don't. Denny Stevenson, do you follow him on Instagram?
Yes, absolutely.
He made a big old post about go fucking race.
Yep.
Like go racing. Go race. This is what you did, because this is how we grew up.
Yep.
There was no MTF. There was no GPF. There was no. You had Shannon Ide roll through town on a weekend, and you'd catch a school, or Gary Bailey would swing to town, or whatever, and you'd grab a school because for you,
Yeah.
you know, wherever at Grain Valley or whatever, and you saw that in motocross action. Like none of that stuff existed back then, and you went racing on the weekends. You went where the State Series race was, and just like he said, you went racing. And a big part of this too that's different even from his, which is before us, was there was a Thursday night race, a Friday night race, I think Saturday night. Did they run on Saturdays? But then they would race on Sundays.
Bart Shiflett used to race 4 times in a weekend.
Every weekend.
Yep.
Going back to a little bit of what you said, though, before you could also, like, your training and your practice was Tuesday night at Grain Valley, Wednesday night at Kingsville, like Thursday you go to Merwin. Like the public tracks were open for practice.
Yes, and you had public tracks to go ride.
Yes.
The option was there. Yeah.
All right. Now let me ask you this.
And they weren't always prepped.
No.
If RJ opened the gate again at Kingsville and had the honor box system like he used to, how many people would show up on a weeknight unprepped? No flaggers.
None.
None. Not anymore.
Everyone's spoiled.
It has changed.
Yep.
It has changed because there are options, and those options are perfectly prepped, manicured private tracks where you pay $20. Or you go ride at Kingsville, which we know the dirt there. It's not going to be good.
Especially because it's going to be the same as it was from yesterday.
Exactly. Yep. And you're going to pay $10 to ride, and you're going to have to replace your tires afterwards.
And man, and that's how we grew up.
I know. And it sounds, who would do that?
Right?
Who would do that? But God damn it, we did it, and we didn't think anything twice about it. Listen
Man.
to us. We are old men.
Well, and it was even different for us than it was for Jeff and Bart and those guys. Yeah. And like,
Jeff.
and your dad, you know, your dad's was even different kind of from that. It's just, it's so funny.
Do you remember when a prep practice at Grain Valley, the ponds would be dry, but it was so sweet if Jerry C just ripped it?
Yeah.
That's all we needed.
Dude, I remember going to Valley and just like, hey,
Now, hold on. Not Valley.
Grain Valley. Excuse me.
Yes.
X2.
X2,
specifically.
Yes, not Valley. Excuse me. Yes. Grain Valley. And like I would beg my dad to take me out there. I'd get a hold of your dad or something. I'd shoot him a text and or even a phone call.
Yes.
It actually was a phone call because it wasn't a text.
816-331-6934.
And he'd answer and hey, you can go out there, just make sure somebody's with you. Gates, the key is right here. And I would go burn through a tank of gas on a marbly piece of shit, probably halfway unsafe track to ride so I could ride.
You got faster.
Yeah.
You got faster doing that. All right. So I've thought, all right, that list of 35 guys, right? Now, here's the thing.
Was it really 35 on that list?
Ish. It was in the 30s.
So if you could get them all to move up to A, how sick would that be at a Most State race to have a 40-rider A gate?
Oh, it would be like 2003.
When's the last time you rode a 40-man gate?
Outdoor Nationals, LCQs.
Okay.
Outside of that?
Yeah, outside of that.
Loretta Regional, 2014.
The last one outside of outdoors was a Pro-Am at Sunset Ridge on a random Sunday.
And you
had
know,
42 open Pro Sport riders.
Do you know why there were 42 riders in that area? Because I can name it. There was pay, but that's where the competition was.
That was where the competition was. I drove like 8 hours to get there. Plus the track's so sick.
Okay, yeah. But if it was at
Chase Sexton won the day by like a minute. Let's put it that way.
Shocking.
I'm not even kidding you because I only had a 450.
Yeah.
So I watched the 250 moto. He won by over a minute over Cody Van Buskert.
Yeah. So you went where the competition was.
100%. Which is what I've always done.
Yep.
Growing up racing. I have always done that.
So Mike, we talked about this before. The old Outlaw series, Agency, White Sands,
Northeast
NEK.
Kansas.
Yep. Had a literal T-shirt. It was purple, and on the front said Outlaw Series on the left pec. On the back had this badass illustration of a guy on a neon KX 250 with like a pink, purple, green, yellow helmet, gear, and like he had a bandana over where the goggles, met with the faceplate of the helmet or the mouthpiece, and then a big old pistol in his left hand. And it was like this big shiny 6-shooter. So it's because it was the Outlaw series, right? And at the bottom of the shirt, right underneath it said, "Where the competition is." That was the selling point. It's not because Agency was awesome. It's not because NEK featured fantastic dirt. It's where the competition is.
It's definitely not because Agency was awesome.
And that's where, that's where you went there because you knew you were going to have competition. So to file that into a lot of guys' lament about riding the A class is they think that they're just going to get starched. All right.
Dude, I so got starched my first A race.
And what did that make you want to do?
Oh, dude, I've gotten the best shape of my life and got faster.
Allow me. Okay. Michael Hicks, pro license. Alex Malott had his pro license. We'll just say pro license. Me, pro license. Preston Taylor just raced Supercross a couple weeks ago. Zach Archer has 59 points. So, pro license. Brett McLeod, pro license. Okay, there's 6 or 7 guys right there. Now, why does Jimmy Guy, why would Jimmy Guy want to move up to the A class and race with 7 guys with a pro license? Because that's a hard sell. That's not a slow pace, okay? Are you going to get starched? Maybe. Maybe not. What happens whenever you pull a second place start and you're in front of Preston Taylor and you're on a tight track and he can't get around you? Then you're competitive. You're part of the competition. You are in the running for the money.
Dude, you automatically go faster.
The
gate drops and you're faster. It has nothing to do with whether he can get around you or not.
Yeah.
Like you go faster. It's just like, say you're running whatever class you're running, you pull a whole shot, you go fast. Like you go faster than, like way faster than you do if you get like a 5th place start.
Okay. This is an arbitrary example, but let's say that you and I go out here onto the road and Mike holds up $100 bill at the end of Jefferson down here and says, whoever makes it down here first gets the $100 bill. Do you think that you would run beyond your physical capability?
I'd be throwing up afterwards.
Yeah.
For a $1 bill, especially if it's against you. I don't care.
So that changes it. That changes it, yeah.
I have a real life example.
Okay, go ahead.
At Carthage in, I don't know what year it was, Justin Cagney and I, we both rode. What did we both ride? How did he? Anyway, they didn't have an A class. It was called a Pro-Am class. So the B riders, you could ride intermediate and Pro-Am, but the A guys could only ride the A class. So I rode.
So was it Open Outlaw?
Maybe that's what
Probably.
it was. Okay,
yeah, that sounds right.
Anyway, Cagney and I were in 2 classes together, but he always rode A and I always rode B.
Yeah.
But we were in some other class together, maybe a combined gate. Anyway, he was, by the end of the race, half a lap ahead of me. We both rode Pro-Am together. I got to start ahead of him. He passed me, and as we crossed the checkered flag, he was 4th, and I was right behind him in 5th in the A class. But just by riding in that class. But being in the big bike open class, I don't know if it's confidence or what it was, but
it's just like riding a super mini in the schoolboy class, or you're at a disadvantage, but you're going to hang it all out. I mean, to hang with the guys, keep up.
I like the feeling of. I guess you'd say being the underdog, but being the guy that no one expects you to do good. I like that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's always a surprise.
Yeah. It's
So-
like,
Brian Stone was at the track yesterday, and we were talking about just going to random races the day after Supercross like he used to do.
Right.
And he said he said between obviously his arena cross championships are in a different arena.
Literally.
But he said there was nothing better than going to a random race and just waxing everyone. And nobody's ever heard of you. Maybe they saw you race last night, maybe not. But whenever you show up and, leave them in the dust.
And
literally.
go 4 for 4 on the day.
4 for
and
4.
leave with
Yep.
$1,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was his favorite racing to do.
Dude, I mean, just like we were talking, you go where when I was growing up racing, we drove, dude, I don't know how many nights we would spend all night Friday night driving south.
Yeah.
Going to Oklahoma State Series was ginormous at the time. The tracks were unreal. All your Team Green kids, it seemed like, lived in Oklahoma or northern Texas,
Seemed
like
like
almost every single one of them.
Yep.
And we would drive down there all the time, man. And I mean, even if it wasn't an Oklahoma Series race, it would be something else. But on top of the contingency money and stuff, we would drive down there because that's where the faster kids were.
Mm-hmm.
If we drove north, I was the fast guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the day we went with Zarda and drove up there on the wildest trip. I drove and didn't go to bed till like 3 a.m. or whatever and raced the next day. And I waxed the B class. Now, I was in the B class and you guys were in the A, which maybe I should have been an A if we're going to go like that, go that route. But
you also were on the road. You were in the Road to Loretta's.
Yeah, I was on the Loretta's program.
Which is, like we talked about a minute ago, is one of the biggest illusions in amateur racing.
So anyways, so when I would go north, we go to Minnesota, we go to Iowa, we go to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like that. For one, I didn't know anyone on the gate.
Yeah.
I lined up, didn't know who was fast, didn't know who could do what.
Didn't give a shit.
Didn't
who was
give
fast.
a shit.
Yeah.
It was hammer down time and go. And a lot of times I won.
Yeah.
Or I got waxed by the real fast local kid who knew
every line.
Knew every single, and then like the next motor, you're like, oh, I know where you went, you know. But it was kind of different back then to go versus north going south. And now, and like I think we texted about this, it's like nobody goes where the competition is anymore. They go where it's convenient.
Now,
and is that
but why were 85% of the license plates at the track in Kansas City yesterday from Nebraska and Iowa?
It was like 30 degrees and snowing in Nebraska and Iowa last weekend.
But why wouldn't the Missouri State racers come out and race?
Right, yeah, no, I agree, yeah.
What are they afraid of? Getting beat by somebody they don't know?
Yeah, because
on their home turf, too.
Because they didn't drive to Oklahoma to race Oklahoma State Series.
Mm-mm.
And I remember
they didn't race.
Like, dude, if guys came down from Iowa or came from out of state to race at Valley and they were in our class, dude, it was like it was a big deal. Yeah. Like, I can't lose to this guy. Or if you did, you were kicking the lawn chair over when you got back to the truck, you know?
Okay, I don't want to necessarily start a whole other can of worms here, but another thing that I think plays into the B rider, A rider thing, or even you could even take it back to the C class. C guys that should be in B, sponsorships, because the companies that sponsor riders, not all of them, but they don't look at, hey, this guy may get 6th in the A class every time. They don't sponsor him for that. They just want to be able to put on their Instagram page or whatever first place finishes. So therefore, those kids don't want to move up because they won't get a sponsorship for being 6th in the A, where they will if they sandbag and win the B class every week.
I think it's a person's personal duty to do a better job for their sponsors. I don't mean just results wise, because let's be honest, how many guys have you sponsored because of their results?
Not very many.
Some,
yeah,
not many. Same here. I mean, the
representation.
Guys, yeah. No, if you have, if you have a good following or clout, you know, is a word. If you have pull, if you're the type of person that motivates people, you know who does a really fucking good job is Nick Peterson.
Oh yeah.
Nick, we know Nick on a different level than the average person that follows him, but if you read Nick's Instagram about Sunstar sprockets,
Why would you buy anything else?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And find someone else that's saying the same thing about Renthal. The only place you're going to find that is in the Renthal ad. Now, is that because Nick's getting the hookup? Or is it because Nick could get the hookup from any company that he wants? Which I would argue that he can, because Nick is savvy at social media. Nick is good at getting people to believe in him and his program. So, Nick has chosen Sunstar. So why shouldn't you? And I've taken notes from the way that Nick does stuff on Instagram because he does or on social media because he does a really good job. So I would argue to guys that if they're worried about getting sponsorships because of results,
dude, you're going the whole hook it route at the moment is what you're talking about, which
to an extent, yes.
The whole hook it sponsor house route, like that's everybody's getting that deal
to an extent,
yeah. And especially if you buy hook it and pay the monthly fee, then you're getting all the hookups. It doesn't matter if you put in a result for the next 3 years or not.
Yep.
You're still going to get the 50% off Dunlop or whatever.
Might as well do it.
What you're talking about is kind of more back when we were racing, where you got shit because you knew somebody or because you won,
right.
and or somebody saw you win. Like, the only place, in my opinion, that like that kind of thing matters is probably at Loretta's. Mm-hmm. Where somebody's career can change if they really are a nobody and then go win a title. It's not going to happen at Mini O's. It's not going to happen at Oak Hill or Freestone. It's only going to happen at Loretta's if you did that. And that's on a big scale. That's like somebody getting bikes or whatever else.
Let's just drop a couple names here. Luke Rensland, Benny Bloss.
Yeah.
They won the 450 Pro Sport class, and the phone was ice cold.
The Nikki Hayden Award and nothing.
The AMA Horizon Award. Yeah, right. Which they named the Nikki Hayden Award. Yeah. And
nobody called.
Not a call.
Went pro racing on their own dime.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now I wish Bart was here from Donnell's.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to ask Bart, honestly, if you are going to sponsor a kid from Donnell's, do you see more benefit in him riding and winning the B class with a Donnell's whatever
sticker?
Or are you more likely to sponsor a kid that is finishing 7th or 8th in the A class?
I think that Bart would say it's less about results and more about the
where you're racing.
Yeah.
Representation.
Representation.
Okay.
Number one, how often do you go racing?
But that's the problem. I don't think a lot of the companies look at it that way. They don't portray that they look at it that. People interpret that they look at it as, I've got to win races to get sponsored, but I don't think people realize the value of representation.
Well, here's the deal. Like Bart he's going to help out somebody that's racing locally. Look what look at Talon,
or look at the Bart's Bucks program.
The Bart's Bucks program at Kingsville. Yeah, yep. Right. Yeah. But I mean, it's he wants you to race local because, for one, as a business owner, that helps him. Mm-hmm. I mean, and just like for me, if I'm helping out a rider or an athlete, whatever you want to do there, it's a local kid that's coming to my schools that is helping me out, and helping bring riders to me to wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? Not really based on what they're finishing or whatever.
So this is kind of an offshoot, but what you just said reminded me, because we talked about the Bart's Box in Kingsville. Yesterday morning, I talked to Ryan and RJ, and I was asking them, what do you guys think of this idea? What do you think of this idea? How do we incentivize it? And Ryan was like, it kind of sucks because, we pay 150% to the A class on Saturday nights and nobody comes. And RJ, before Ryan was done saying that, RJ was like, but I also understand the lights. It's not that the lights are bad. It's that the lights at A speed are pretty uncomfortable. It's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I went there, I have raced at Kingsville in the A class at night one time in 2012 on a KTM 450 against Mitch Gaylord. And it was the hard. In my mind, that race stands out. It was one of the hardest races I've ever done. It was one of the scariest because, I'm not going to fucking let Mitch Gaylord beat me at Kingsville. That's how I thought of it. I was like, I can't do that. And Mitch is a phenomenal rider, but it's just, I wasn't just wasn't going to let
whoever it was, you weren't.
It doesn't matter that it's Mitch. It could have been anybody. But man,
dude,
it was hard. And I don't know if it's my eyes,
which are terrible.
If it's the lights, because Mitch didn't complain. But RJ said straight up, it's especially, and now hold on. These are the same lights that have been there, the same lighting system that's been there since however long.
Right.
And I don't say that as an insult. I say that as motocross has evolved and the bikes have gotten faster, and you can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds on a Rockstar Husky at FC 450. Whereas whenever we were racing on 250 two-strokes and 125 two-strokes, you didn't go as fast.
In slow motion.
You didn't go as fast. So the lights didn't matter.
And the tracks were built different.
Whether
the lights are in the same place or not, the design of the track was different.
Now, I'll say this, though. The way the track is laid out at Kingsville now is so superior to the way that's ever been. It's the best layout. It has the safest obstacles. It has the most fair obstacles. The split lane is fucking awesome. The finish line is safe. The road jump is safe. It's a split lane. The 90-footer's gone. It's now a double, triple roller, triple thing. It's different. It's safe. It's better than the 90-footer. That's for goddamn sure. The double barrel jump is back without the double barrels. So it's 5 rollers, and then where Josh got hurt over that roller, that's now a step up into another step up. The quad's gone, table, and then a small table. All those obstacles are way better. Now, I was also 125 two-stroke. Maybe it would be gnarlier on a 450, and watching guys like Michael Hicks do it, I'm like, dude, no, hard pass on that. So the tracks and the lighting can't keep up with the speed of the dirt bikes. So they understand why guys aren't coming out and racing the A-class on Saturday night.
It's just like when you go practice on a Thursday night, you get there as early as you can, because by the time the lights come on, you're backing it off. Like, you might do one session in the nighttime, but it's half speed or just fast enough to do the jumps, and then you're just kind of cruising.
And
this is at an A level.
Yeah.
Now,
let's add to that, though, that whether it's Kingsville, whether it's Riverside, or not Riverside, in Texas, it starts with an R.
River Valley.
Whether it's River Valley, Fort Worth, Village Creek is its own little operation because it's in a bottle. Okay, it's like a fair track.
Yeah.
But it don't matter what night track you go to on race night. There's really never any A riders, except for the one anomaly, Portland International Raceway, which has 20 riders every Thursday night.
It's designed to be that. It's designed to be that, just exactly. Like the Tampa SX or whatever that they have. I mean, those races that have a lot of A riders are designed to be big A rider races.
Yeah. I never thought of it, but you're talking about the Portland track?
Yeah.
If you see like night photos, it looks like they're in like a football stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how Village Creeks is now, I think.
The track is also 50 seconds long.
Yeah. Not a very big track.
That's not a big track at all. No. So, and Kingsville's 2-minute lap times.
Yeah. Did you guys run the day section this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a day race, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but the way I saw some pictures, talking about social media here, on Ryan's Instagram, and I couldn't tell exactly. He'd made so many changes, I couldn't tell where it was, and it looked like they cut the day section out.
So. No, it's still back there, and it was gnarly. It was really good. I made a lot of passes back there. All right, so Ryan said, and he did bring up the Nick Peterson ordeal, and I fucking hate it because Nick has clout. Nick has a following. He has his little Bikeworks crew of people. None of them go to Kingsville. Nick doesn't go to Kingsville. They don't go to Kingsville. All right, so there's proof, like you just said, Scott. People go where the pro riders go. So whenever there's only 7 A riders showing up to, 200% plus $500, indicative that there's going to be a lower turnout. That makes sense. Well, what if there's more A riders? Does it help? Does it matter the quality or the speed necessarily? Because every single one of those guys that I named at the beginning of the podcast are A, and I want to talk about this for a moment. There are two qualities here that we need to establish. There is A speed and there is A skill. Okay? A skill, you can only go A speed if you have A skill, but you may not necessarily go A speed if you have A skill. It's kind of like a square. A square is always a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't always a square. They don't necessarily fit into each other at all times. But either way, whether you have A skill, if you don't have A skill, you can't go A speed. So, how many guys do you know that you would feel safe racing with that don't ride the A class?
Oh man, I mean, probably.
How long do we have?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
we're gonna run out of tape here. Tape.
I like it. Hold on, I need to switch out reels.
Yeah. Flip your cassette now.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I mean, definitely. I mean, a majority of the B class, anybody in the B class, and a lot of places they run A and B together. You'd run with them or whatever, and you usually request that B gets dropped second, so you don't have to deal with them getting in the way of your money.
That's it. That's the only reason. It's not because you don't feel safe with them.
Yeah.
It's because they're not racing for the money.
And then sometimes you're like, fuck it, just run us all together. You know what I mean? And it just depends.
If those guys were racing the A class, you'd have no second considerations of it at all whatsoever.
No.
Yeah.
Because whether I'm coming in hot to take somebody out or not, it doesn't matter who it is. Like that's, and the thing is in the A class, like, especially if you're new to it, you're going to learn how that works in the first race.
Yes.
And then you're going to fine tune it in the second race. And then by the third race, you're a pro rider or A rider.
And that's, you start, okay, so these guys, they already have the A skill. Okay. But you can't go A speed without that A skill, but they don't know that they have the A skill.
Every one of those dudes you listed, I would jump any jump behind them. Like if that's one of the things motocross riders judge something on, well, would you take a jump behind them? Any of those dudes I would, even maybe some of the guys I don't know, but if you put them on the list, then yeah.
Yeah.
So,
they've been passed as A riders. Yeah.
And so when you have the skill level of an A rider, the speed's just going to come with it. The only way you're going to get that speed is by moving to the A class. Like B class over and over and over. And like, let's say Brock Lasseter is probably the fastest B kid in Missouri.
Yeah.
Probably by a long shot, but he probably, I think, I seen Greg put stuff on Instagram of them riding down in Oklahoma where Brock, they do Australian Pursuit and Brock starts after all the A guys.
Yep.
Which, I mean, and so this argument doesn't matter for you because you moved up to A at 14.
Yes.
Brock's like 13.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, I get not having to move up, but the dude also rides a 252 stroke, and like that takes a more than a boy to do that. So
yeah, Brock is. See, here's the catch.
He's on the Loretta's program.
Yes, that is the catch. He's on program Loretta's, and Jeremy Kowalski is too. All right, if Jeremy doesn't make it to the B class, okay, let me put a timetable out there. All right. July, the first weekend of July, whenever it is, the regional at Millville. If something happens, Jeremy, and you don't make it to Loretta's in the A class, the next weekend you race A.
You mean B class? Make it in the B class?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah. The next weekend, race A.
So, I mean, that's how it always was for me. Like say you did make Loretta's. Like you went racing the weekend you got home and you rode the next class up. Like you went from C to B or
After
B to
Loretta's,
A or whatever. Yeah.
And
I mean, I moved up to A after being not racing in 3 years.
And you probably top 3'd that shit, if not won it.
No, I got.
No, I'm saying going from C to B.
Yeah, going from C to B, and after a week at Loretta's or whatever, dude, I was the top B guy. Just like I went from beginner to novice at 13 or whatever. I went from winning all of my beginner races in the spring series to like a third place C class guy at a state series level.
How long did you race 85s for? 2 years?
2 years. I mean, they were 2 terrible years. Like motorcycling didn't work for me till I got on a big bike.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, just 80s, dude, I was just learning like like what it was and what happened. And like my first race was a super mini race, and like I was all freaking out. Well, I don't have a super mini. Oh my god! At Grain Valley.
Yeah, and me and Jimmy
and you
Dennis,
and Jimmy and like the only time I can ever say I legitimately passed Jimmy, he fell down on the first turn in my first race. And like next thing I know, like 40 seconds later, he goes blowing by me, you know, while I'm going down the straightaway in second gear. You know, my silencer fell off, all kinds of shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like no idea what I was doing on 80s, but by the time I got to 125s, it all clicked. I started doing all the jumps, the turns, the technique, everything fell into place. And a lot of kids are that way, but
I just remember I like had a flashback for a moment.
Don't hurt yourself.
The first time that we all went to Anadarko, I was 12, and it was my first race on my brand new 450 Honda.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that
12 on a 450?
12 on a 450 Honda.
Huge.
Dude, I was like,
okay, Tyler Bowers.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, I had a 125, and like, it just didn't work.
Just leave it in the trailer.
And the 80s were like, nope. I don't know what, that has nothing to do with anything. That was a nice memory. Thank you.
I mean, I have a photo from that race in my basement.
So that is a perfect representation.
Yeah, because you had yellow backgrounds on the bike.
Yes.
And you had the Pastrana Pro Artworks helmet.
Yep.
And red, white, and blue SoCal gear.
Yes.
Wow, I
sure
remember
did.
this. I didn't go on that trip, but I remember you riding
Sure
that.
did.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were 12 then.
Yep. I might have been 13. I might have just turned 13.
So what was I riding? I had to have been on a 125,
I
right?
never rode 12 to 13 on
that was 02?
You would have been actually...
Is that 03?
That would have
03.
been 02. Had to have been 02.
Oh,
the 450 came out in 02.
Yep.
so yeah, they go, with the long...
So
The long
you would have been
on a 125.
14, actually.
Would I have been 14?
Yeah, because I was 13.
Yeah, because I guess I rode 3 years on a 125.
Yeah. So you were
2
14.
years.
No.
Yeah,
I'm sure you rode your dad's Yamaha at 12.
I did. His 426.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids listening don't even know what a 426 is.
No.
And we're not even that old because like we didn't ride Can-Ams back then, you know?
No.
Yeah.
But like that's okay. So what I'm saying, like what I'm trying to reference that is like that's the perfect representation of moving up a class and how like, dude, you're just going to get faster. Like when you go from 65, 7 to 9 to 10 to 11, like you're getting faster because you're racing older kids. Like how many times did you like just like in baseball, you play up a grade, you play up to play up, you play up or whatever, or volleyball, you play up a skill or an age group because those are bigger, faster kids or bigger, stronger, faster kids. Same thing in racing, like in schoolboy, like, yeah, ride it when you're 12 against the 15-year-olds. Like, why not? Like, that's the whole idea. Like, race the faster
all the
kids
on super minis that ride the schoolboy class.
Yeah, they should.
I did it, and you know who beat me every fucking weekend was Alex Minturn.
On a big bike?
On a CR125.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like I remember seeing like a super mini win a schoolboy race and people are like, wait, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Or like a 250F's in a battle with an 85. Like, what is going on? But it's a perfect representation of that. Like that's why they have open classes. So you can race all skill levels. Just like, I mean, especially if you're a B class guy, and I mean, I get it age-wise, like not moving up, like I can understand that. Just maturity level, that thing's because let's say you're Brock, I mean, he might be 15 now. I don't know, but like you moved up early. Like to me, no matter what, I think that's too early for the A class because your maturity, you're racing men, grown men.
My size dictated
your ability and what you're able to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so in my opinion, like that's probably a little too young, but I mean, whatever.
But I was also a lot more mature at 14 than the average 14-year-old.
And you had years and years of experience. You had been to Loretta's, you had done, had a track. I mean, just so many different factors. But the part is when you move to the A class, like, yeah, you're racing grown men going after money. Like it's a different world, but you're only going to get faster. I mean, my first A race, I got like the first start turn, the first corner of the first moto and 250A was like, oh wow, like this is how it is.
Your eyes were,
man. And I mean, the first lap is the most I've probably ever learned in a race.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most, I took the most information from that 2-minute lap time than I did at any from the previous 2 years of racing, you know.
And then do you remember the first time you got that envelope?
No, well, I can remember the time I forgot to get it.
Yeah,
I was just getting
I've
ready
done
to
that
say.
before. I'm trying to think of where. I remember the first time I got paid good money. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like a couple times I got like 7th or something, and you go get your gate fee back. And I mean,
Yep.
yeah, it's cool. Like, I was stoked on that. Like, I rode for free today, but I knew I got my ass kicked, so it was like, how do I figure out how to beat these guys?
Right, but that $40 in that envelope changed it.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was like there was no more getting trophies. It was,
Yes.
and I mean, it's really, to me, like the result on paper to me has always been worth more than the money. And so to have a good result in the A class carried way more weight than having a good result in the B class. Like,
Yeah.
like being in the A class, like this is something we always joked around. Like I remember like being a B rider or whatever, and like, or maybe when I was just moved up to A, it was brand new A rider, and I was like, yeah, dude, the A dudes always had hot girlfriends, or like the hot chicks went after the fast guys. And then like next thing you know, you go to the race, and it's a bunch of us dumbasses racing each other in the A class, you know, and just going just out for blood. And then the C class had all the hot chicks. All the C class riders had all the hot girlfriends or whatever.
Or you go to an arena cross where there's quad riders and they have the hottest girlfriends.
That was one thing that never made sense to me when
Yep.
I first moved up to A, because it's a funny thing that we used to joke about, because I remember we used to joke about that on the line with the guys. But
Okay, so also, you and I both need to say this because we're established A riders, is that a lot of these guys might hear that and think, well, yeah, Crutcher's faster than me. Of course he wants me to move up to A class so I can he can collect my money. That is not what it is about. Because frankly, I have bad motos. I get
more
bad
often than not,
I get bad starts. I fall down. I have mechanicals. Preston Taylor, I beat him because he fell twice 2 corners in a row. Okay, in the first 250 moto, and he went 6.2. I went 3.4. Guess who was the faster rider there that day? Preston Taylor. Okay, but I beat him.
right?
And I made $200.
I mean, that's the whole idea. That's why they run the races, right? That's why they play the game.
That's why they
That's
run the
why
races.
they run the
Yes,
races
uh-huh.
to figure it out.
Yep.
I mean,
because you set on the line and you think, okay, Michael Hicks is going to win, Preston Taylor's going to get second, and so on down the line, right? But I don't know if you know this, Michael Hicks got something caught in his front wheel and had a mechanical in the first 450 moto, DNF'd it. Well, there you go. You just beat Michael Hicks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and to me, it always has been about the competition part of it. And maybe that's because how
You're old
was
school.
raised, kind of old
Yeah.
school. And like, that's the other part about like us three sitting at this table is we have a little bit of that old school in us from the way it used to be. We've been here through the transition to where it is now,
Yeah.
which is everything from how the competition is when you wanted to beat somebody just to fucking beat them, not because you wanted to, not because it looked cool on Instagram or MySpace, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not because of that, but it was because you wanted to beat them. You wanted to win. You wanted to have that result, and you wanted to be faster than everybody around here. So if you left here, it was to go race faster guys.
Yes.
To get faster so you could come back home and beat guys.
Yep.
And you've seen it, and the three of us have been able to see it all the way through, and that's how we figured out the social media marketing, because we were here in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And then how to carry it through and how to use it. And going from everything from the racing, the competition, to the social media, to the marketing, to the way it is now, where it's all about convenience. Yeah, the track's out my backyard. But it's only, I can go ride here for 2 hours and go home and watch TV or whatever. I mean, there's so many different things that it is now. For one, it's to me, the biggest reason people don't go racing is convenience, or they don't go here or there because it's too far, but there is another side of that, is it's so far because it's so expensive. It's expensive to go do that.
Yes, it is.
And to me, I mean, like you said earlier, the income is higher in order to go racing and do this nowadays, but that doesn't make it any easier for anybody, you know? And now you do have the top level guys that have that. But the three of us can see it in a way from how it was to how it got there to what it is now.
Yeah.
And it's so much different now to where people are practicing, where they're going racing. It's all about convenience. I mean, and I see it with my schools. Like, I could have a school at adrenaline. Okay, let's just use this as an example. I think one guy drove from Wichita, like, you know what I mean? That's 3 hours, 3.5 hours, whatever. And that's I have a big following in Wichita, but only for one guy to come and the rest to come out of Kansas City. I mean, it's just different because it's convenience.
Yeah.
And that's a big part about like kind of how I run my training is I go to the riders.
Yeah.
It's not I'm bringing them to me, you know. And I have people that will drive all over. They'll drive 6 hours to come train with me. I've had people drive from St. Louis to train in Wichita, you know, multiple times. And
well, you sell a good product.
That's a big part of that. Yeah. There's this, that I don't know how to take a compliment. Remember? I don't know how to handle that.
Well, yeah, that's that. But, you know,
anyway, but like the way it is now, and a lot of these, you said the guys running the tracks nowadays it's the old school mentality. They're hard workers and they work their ass off to give people somewhere to ride.
Yeah.
And that's any track owner, whether it's at your house or it's somebody new to the business or somebody that's been doing it for 50 years. Those guys work their ass off to give a product to ride, to give a facility, a place to ride at. Yeah. Every single one of them. We've all prepped the track. We know how bad it sucks and how hard it can be. Something, the pumps never work. Something, you know, the tiller breaks every time.
It is. Yeah.
And so that's a whole nother piece of it. But in order... You're providing this, and that's old school way. You work your ass off, but just because you made a flyer and stuck it in the dealership doesn't work anymore. Mm-mm. It doesn't sell entry fees. It doesn't give people a reason to come there. And the people that have figured out how to get people to come there, it shows. It matters.
Yes, it does.
Which on top of that, they have a good product. They know how to, and they tell people what they're doing. And that is all of it. And now that comes to the way that it is now of being in your face. Whether it's social media, which Instagram was built for motocross riders, it seems like, because you only have to go fast for 15 seconds to make a video, you know? And so on a perfectly groomed track or whatever, and then you're famous. But it's so important that you are doing that nowadays to make sure that people are coming and giving people a reason. So it to me, does the incentive for the money really matter in the pro class? In the pro class, yes. But does that matter to the guy to move up? I would maybe vote yes and no, because I didn't move up for money. I moved up for the prestige of riding the A class and being an A rider and the stuff that comes with being an A rider, which a lot of times when I moved up was free gear, was maybe some free parts.
Not to interrupt you.
Or whatever.
Did you send a screen cap of Portland International Raceway's Thursday night motocross?
Yeah.
All right. So let's just say this. All right. So it says at the top of the scoring sheet, 450 Pro, 18 entries. You're like, holy shit, for a Thursday night race? Really? All right. Let's look at that. Maybe 3 pro riders with the pro card. Okay. Maybe 3. Then you've got 9 expert level A riders, that grind it out locally. And then everybody else, Thursday night A class riders. Okay. We don't know who the fuck those guys are. We don't know the difference between one or, from first place to last place. But you see, 450 Pro, first place to last place, they're out there. Now, did you, let me just go ahead and have you refresh my memory. Did you send me the results from the 450 B class also?
I don't remember if I did from Portland.
You did not.
Okay.
You know why?
No.
Because we don't give a shit about who won the fucking B class. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, how many arena crosses this year from East Coast, Tennessee, whatever they are, were we sending A class results back and forth? Everyone that we saw, we're sending A class results. I'm not sending B class.
No,
because...
Sorry, there's no prestige there.
Do people line up to watch the B class?
No.
Mm-mm.
That's why the
maybe if it's because it's the second drop on the 450 A class, you know what I mean? Yeah. But if you go to it doesn't matter if it's a local race, a fair race, or whatever. People are lining the gate to watch the A race.
Let's talk incentives, okay? Because this is where I really wanted to go with this, was the incentive to move to the A class. All right, so the average guy that gets first or second and plus 25 or 450B, 250B, whatever, lifetime B riders, college boy, okay? The Seth Prestons of the world.
The Lamberts of the world.
Is it ego? Is that what it is? Is that what is stopping? Those guys that I named. take a long, hard look at yourself and decide, why is it that I am not riding the A class? And if it's you're chasing the amateur dream, great. If you ride the B class longer than 2 years, sorry, Jack, it's time to move up. Okay? You're not going to get that contract. In my eyes, you're not going to get the contract if the contract isn't on your table at 16, 15, 14, 13. Styles Robertson,
Adam
Cianciarulo, Austin Faulkner. How many of these kids had that contract on their table at 10 years old? A lot of them. Okay? So the amateur dream is a dream. For some kids, they can reach out there and get it. The Seth Hammakers. Okay?
Yeah, that's a good example.
They're out there. The Kevin Moranzas. Okay? They're out there. They make it into the pro ranks. They're grinding it out in the pro scene. If they didn't go to Loretta's, guess what? They're still going to reach their peak talent. Okay? Going to Loretta's does not enable your ability to lock into your peak talent. That has no bearing on it whatsoever. So if it's the Loretta's dream, realize it's a dream. And remember, like we said earlier, the Nikki Hayden Award does not guarantee a factory ride. That's what we think. You think the Nikki Hayden Award. Think of some of the guys that have gotten aboard before. James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael, Kevin Windham. Okay, those guys. Established names in the motocross world. They got the Nikki Hayden Award. It was different then. Now, today, trying to think of the last guy that, okay, I'm kind of getting off on that. The incentives.
You're into that anti-amateur national thing again that you've grown up with
for
the last 20 years.
The incentives. There has to be an incentive, all right? If the allure of being like, yeah, dude, I ride 450 Pro. Yeah, I'm Nathan Ramsey. Remember that Thor commercial?
I do.
Yeah, I'm Greg Albertine. Okay. Even
Dude, there's nothing cooler than telling someone you ride the A class or the Pro class.
Hell no.
Especially like when they don't know anything about it.
Yeah, they say you race
or they
pro.
Know, yeah,
I do.
Yeah, actually, I do. That's right before they ask you if you can do a backflip.
Yes. So are you on the circuit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
The only thing that tops telling people that you ride the Pro class is getting your
that card.
The card, dude.
With the laminate,
your hard
and the
card,
holograph on it,
and your hard card, and you wear it in the pits, or you wear it through,
dude,
and nobody asks you anything.
Yes,
that is like, and I have not done well at outdoor nationals at all. Like, I would have been better off staying home because one put me in the.
I
that's
feel
a whole
like
nother story.
That was inevitable, whether it was at Tennessee or at the zoo.
Yeah, right. You're right. This thing was hanging on by a thread,
yeah.
and now we've been. But anyways, but your hard card, that is the only thing that tops telling somebody you ride the Pro class.
Remember that video that I got of Colin at Tennessee? I didn't let him put it on. I said, no. Let me pull out my phone. So I pulled out. I took a video of Colin as he put the lanyard around his neck, and it's like you just see it's a changing point in a man's life whenever you get that card, because all the shit that you have missed out on, that you have made sacrifice for, that you have,
the hours in the garage, the arguments with mom and dad, the
girlfriend's lost, the parties missed,
the homecomings, the everything, the
all
prom.
Of it. Yes, for that fucking piece of plastic on a nylon string, okay?
That you paid for.
Yeah. You earned it, but you paid for it in more than just cash. There is a smaller derivative of that, and that is simply walking up to the sign-in tower and checking 450A, Open Pro Sport, 250A, okay, Open Outlaw, whatever it is. You're going to get a taste of that. But let me tell you something. The only way to get where Colin, that video that I have of Colin, is to start by checking that box on Sunday morning.
He did it. He's the perfect example of two things we've talked about. One, moving to the A class and what it does for you by moving to the A class. As a young C guy to a B guy to an A guy to a fucking pro point scoring guy.
What did he get? 6 points last year?
3 points.
3 points.
I mean, he's it. But the one thing he's really bad about, but he doesn't really care, is telling people where he went racing and what he's doing. He's really bad about that. But that's just Colin.
Colin doesn't give a shit about a sponsor. He has Donnell's.
Yeah. He's got him and Donnell's, and that's it.
Yeah.
And he's going to go do it.
And he's also kind of, I feel like he's on his way out. You know, he wants to do other life things, and that's understandable. But hey, he still did it.
Did it. Check the box.
Yeah. And you get to do that. Okay. He gets to go home and be satisfied. All right. Am I ever going to score a national point? No. Colin's got me beat there. All right. Obviously. I get to go to bed at night knowing, hey, I had my pro card.
You tried. You gave it a shot. You got to do it.
Yes.
Be part of the program.
Yep. And you don't get to be part of that program until you check that box Sunday morning. That's the only goddamn way is to do it that way.
And dude, pounding lap after lap after lap after lap at the practice track doesn't do it.
No.
You don't. You don't earn your pro points by pounding laps at the practice track and then going and not racing on Sunday or not racing.
Except for the elite kids who can afford to spend $75,000 a year on practicing. And they go to Loretta's and, they ride B and then they ride A at the area. At the regional, they race 2 times a year, and then they go to Loretta's and they get their pro card, or they, because you qualify for Loretta's, you get the green light to get your pro card. Okay, that is the lazy man's way. I fucking hate it. I hate it so bad. I don't think that just because you qualify for Loretta's in the A class, now you get to have your pro card. I don't think that's good enough, honestly. I really don't, because that incentivizes people to take the easy route. It's not. Let me rephrase. It is not easy to do that. It's the
short route.
It's the short route. That's right.
If you can do it, though.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but it's a short route.
But that short route also has a negative effect on motocross racing as a whole. The grassroots motocross culture suffers because of that. It truly suffers. Because whenever Brandon Yates is in fucking Georgia, like he wasn't at the races this weekend. Where the fuck was he? Was he in Georgia?
I think he was actually racing an area or something down there. Yeah, but he was down there. He's in Georgia right now.
Right, yeah. All right. Brandon Yates wasn't at the motocross track this weekend. Brandon Yates probably would have been a good battle between him, Preston, and Hicks. Would have been a good battle. He could have made thousands of dollars this weekend, but instead he was pounding out laps trying to chase that Loretta's dream. Why? Is that because he wants to get his pro card that quickly? Okay, I understand that. Brandon does race locally, and I don't want to harp on him. I don't want to make it sound like that.
And we're not saying any of this negatively to anybody's name, like that we've listed here.
Yeah,
this is more of a pat on the back. You're doing a good job conversation
and
than
also,
anything else.
What we want to illustrate is there's more than one way. There is more than one way. Look at Nick Schmidt. Look at Weston Pike. Look at Adam Entignap. Show me their results from Loretta's. They were nobodies. Those guys were locals that got their pro card by earning their pro M points. Okay, that is a way to do it. That is a noble way to do it. It's an available option in motocross racing. All right, we've kind of gotten we're back on the Loretta's thing. Okay,
we're all over the place.
Incentives. There has to be an incentive to get your ass handed to you by the other pro riders. And I think the only way to do that is by money. Okay. We started talking about percentages earlier. Payout percentages. Now there's 100, 150, 200. Those are the most standard payouts. Beyond that is guaranteed purse, 10,000, 5,000, 2,500, whatever it is. Okay. There is a way that I have been thinking about to incentivize guys. The Peyton Adams and Austin Beaches that don't really race every weekend, those kind of guys that have that skill, that have the ability to be competitive out there in the A class. And I talked to Peyton about it because Peyton's a really prime example. He does not get off on racing that much because he feels like he's a head case, okay? And I think a lot of guys feel like you were saying, you get faster by riding the A class. Okay, you automatically just bump up in skill. That's scary. The idea of that is scary to some guys because they don't necessarily want to hang it out, and risk that injury for the reward of no money back and no trophy. Okay? Just getting to say that they're an A rider is not enough of an incentive. So I've talked to a couple of riders, and I've talked to a couple of promoters. Here's my idea. Standardized 200% payback. Not guaranteed points or guaranteed purse, but 200% payback. The first 100% is paid back to all riders. You enter the race, you make your money back at the end of the day. You get your $40 back, you're guaranteed. As long as you don't DNF DNS or whatever, just...
As long as you finish the motos.
Yeah, just finish the motos. Okay? Don't phone it in. Go out there and put in a good, hard, honest ride. Give it the college try. Because if you're phoning it in, then you only,
What's the point?
You'll be disappointed in yourself more than anybody else, and that's the worst feeling. So the first 100% goes to everybody. Okay? Now you think, well, fuck, then you're only dealing with 100%, and nobody goes racing for 100%. All right, you've cut the pay in half by paying everyone equally. So, Mike, you remember a second ago whenever you brought up the $151 if everybody got paid evenly?
Yep.
Okay. Well, now okay. And I said, I'll take that. I would take that. Okay. Well, now everybody's getting paid. Okay, so everybody's happy, at least a little bit. Now, what about the Michael Hickses and the Brandon Yates and the Preston Taylors? Are they still going to drive 4.5 hours to race for 100% payback? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Would they consider it knowing they are guaranteed to get their money back regardless of a mechanical? You have a bad moto in the first moto. I can go out and give it the college try in the second moto. Maybe there's an incentive there. That second 100%, you pay out to the top 33%, the top third. Okay? Or top 40%. So if you have 10 guys, you pay to fourth. That's the second 100%. So then you get the fast guys. All right, because then you're taking that $400. All right, so if you have 10 guys, 400 times 2, $800. 400 goes to cover everybody. Okay, so you get your $40 back. The other 400 is cut by 4 different riders. And didn't I send you guys a text about this? Did I
Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay, all right, so then the pay is actually pretty damn healthy for your top performing guys. Okay. Now, what happens whenever you start adding more riders in? Okay, so these guys are like, hey, fuck it, I can make my money back. I can go racing for free this weekend. So hold on. Let me guess it. Hold on. I can go race for free this weekend, or I can go ride at a local practice track and I have to give my buddy $20. Hey, what's the better option there? Because we were just talking about paying money to ride loses a lot of people. Okay, that's why guys go ride at their buddy's local practice, their little backyard track. Because they get to ride for free for a lot of times. Now they get to race for free. Only costs them $10 to get in the gate for a whole day of racing. Okay? More guys move up. You have more riders. That means more people are getting paid now. All right? For every another rider, to pay that 40%. If you get 20 guys, well, now you're paying the top 8. Okay, so now we're talking about 8 guys that are going to get paid healthily, and then everybody else gets their money back. You see what I'm saying? Another incentive, okay, outside of the pay, because maybe that's not enough. All right, A riders are the most tenured outside of plus 50 riders, but hey, they're there just to have fucking get out of the house, away from the kids and wife, whatever.
Or juniors racing.
There you go. The most tenured riders are the A-class riders. We've been doing it the longest. We're the most consistent guys there every single weekend.
We paid our dues.
You paid your dues. I mean, let's see. I started in 1995 and started riding the A-class in 2002. No.
3?
3. Yep.
4?
3.
4.
No, it was 2003. Middle of 2003.
Okay.
All right, so that's including 95, 8 years? 8.5 years that I raced my dirt bike? That's 8.5 years of grinding it out at something, that's, what is it, 10,000 hours to become an expert at something?
Yeah.
Okay. I did my 10,000 hours. I have my PhD in motocross. I earned that. Give the fucking A riders 1st and 12th moto.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
I don't care if we're at bar to bar. I don't care if we're at Sunset Ridge. I don't care if we're at Pea Ridge in Arkansas. Not a track anymore. I don't care.
I've actually been to the national park in Pea Ridge.
Nice. Yeah. Beautiful place.
And it's like a Civil War
That's right.
national park.
That's why everything around there is called battlefields. The high school is
the
Battlefield
reason
High
I
School.
remember that is because it was Pea Ridge, and we were on a motorcycle trip with my dad and my grandpa. My grandpa had to take a leak and took a pee on Pea Ridge, which is like totally against
That
the
is
rules.
ironic.
Like, yeah. But anyways, off topic. Go
Thank
back.
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you
I
for
totally
that.
distracted you.
I don't care if I'm at Riverside Raceway, Sprout Patch, Archview, Inman. It doesn't fucking matter. Give us the 1st and the 12th moto. Okay, you're gonna get more guys. You're going to get more guys to ride the A-Class. What happens, Scott, like let's see, how many times have we said this? What happens whenever you have more A-riders at the races?
The people show up.
People come to the races?
People go there.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
So,
it's the way it's always used to be.
And so it's a proven formula? Let's just make sure. That's a proven
on
formula.
history, I mean, if I was a historian, that's what I would say.
Okay. We want 200% payback. We want 1st and 12th moto. There it is. That's it. All right. Guys, if you're listening to this, you're a B rider. What sounds better? Going to Platter Hill and signing up for Big Bike Open and 450B, and you are 7th and 23rd moto, and it's July, and it's hot as fuck outside. And you only get 5 laps per moto. You paid $40 to race. Or you ride 450A and 250A. Okay, let's say you have a 250F. All right, better example. You ride 250A, you ride 450A. Your 1st moto, your 12th moto. The track's going to be fantastic both sets because you have 1st moto right after practice. You have 1st moto right after intermission where the track's re-prepped. Okay, you have earned that. Your tenure, your time.
And it's going to provide the best racing.
It's going to provide the best racing. Everybody's going to be there on the fences watching it.
Every time.
So
every time.
Track promoters say, well, okay, Jeff, hold on. What incentive do I have to pay 200% when 7 guys won't show up? Well, let me tell you. Now we're going to lose B entries. Okay, let's say we lose B entries.
Yeah, that was a conversation we had.
All right. Well, you already pay 150%. Nobody's showing up to race the B class. You get 6 entries, whatever.
Yeah, really, you're not losing that much more.
The difference in 10 riders is $200. The difference in 10 riders is $200. If you can't take that $200 loss of having more let's not even talk about the gate entry. If you can't take that loss of having 10 A riders and 5 less B riders, or whatever it is, you can't take the $200. You have bigger problems than that $200 going to the A class. We're getting people back to the track on Sunday, okay? Oh, shit. It's like the Boyson 2-stroke shootout at Sleepy Hollow. There's 700 entries at that race because it is a well-promoted 2-stroke race. Okay, there's a fuck ton of people that go there and watch that race because they know there's going to be a full gate of pro riders, just like there used to be at KCIR on Friday nights. Full gate of pro riders. There were 600 people there to watch the races. They didn't know who they were. They just knew motocross races, $6 to get in the gate. Or probably $2 at that time. $2 to get in the gate. The same what $10 would be today. Now it's also going to take commitment from the A riders, the Alex Malotts, the John Barrys, the Colin Fletchalls, these guys. You need to take ownership in this shit. Because if you do not take responsibility and take ownership, I can only do so much. Scott can only do so much. Nick can only do so much. Guys, if you are riding the A class, if you're riding the B class, whatever class it is that you're riding, you have a commitment to the sport of motocross to promote where it is that you're going, because God damn it, they provide you a really good product. Whether it's the worst track in the country or the best track in the country, you're being provided somewhere to ride and race your dirt bike. You owe it to the track promoter to help them promote.
Well, and a lot of times nowadays, by the time you make it to the A class, you're buddies. Most of the time where you go, one of my favorite parts about going racing is telling people where I'm going racing. So I can talk about going racing.
Yep.
And then if I don't talk about how a racing went, usually is an indicator of how well the racing went.
Yeah.
But that's half of going racing, is telling people you're going racing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were doing math, Mike. I was worried that you were going to hurt yourself.
An A rider, let me just say this. An A rider has as much responsibility of telling people where he's going racing as he does to put gas in his bike before he goes races. You cannot race on an empty tank. You cannot race without telling people where you're going. Just log into fucking Facebook and say, hey guys, I don't know if you saw, but I'm going racing at Kingsville this weekend. Come on out. That's it. That's all that it takes. Because all your little A buddies and all your little B buddies and C buddies and your novice riders and those kind of guys, they say, oh, fuck, man, Joe Schmo's going to go to Kingsville this weekend. I didn't know they were racing. Because Ryan and Troy and RJ are too busy prepping the fucking track to post on Instagram.
You know what's so funny is, I was just thinking of, well, how did this work in the old day? Well, that what you were just getting ready to bring up?
Yes, I was just getting ready to bring this up.
I figured it out as I thought about it. I answered my own question, so I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
When you got the race flyer, you looked at the pro payout.
Yep.
It was all 200%, 300%, whatever the purse was. That was the indicator of if pros were going to be there.
The Wrangler jeans shootout feature.
Okay, you want me to tell you from
$200 to the winner, whatever. Yeah.
From a non-pro standpoint, how I used to figure out where I want to go racing that weekend?
How's that?
The Most State MX forum.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody would post what race is going on, and you go and you see what has the most conversation. Mm-hmm. Whichever race had the most interaction on the forum,
yes,
that's where I was going.
Yep.
Because if somebody posted that, for instance, I never went to the track. What was the track's name now? It was up north. It was supposed to be a super cool track.
Grindstone?
Grindstone.
Yeah, never went there.
I never went there either. But they always posted on a Most State MX, but nobody commented. Nobody left any.
Yes.
But Kingsville, which I've been to 20,000 times, they'd say, hey, we're racing Friday night. And it'd be like, hey,
I'm going.
Yeah, I'm going.
Yep.
See you there.
Okay, now that's indicative, though, of Grindstone not being very good. It was a quad track. That was the problem with Grindstone, is they ran quads. But if you take that out of the equation, yes.
The example is, if you talk about where you're going racing, it gets other people excited to go racing at that place.
The beginning of the social media.
Hey, how many times did you call your friends and say, "Are you going to Stillwater for the FMF Winter Series?"
Every time.
Every time. You called every single one of your buddies and made sure they were going.
Every time.
Yep.
Or aimed them. Usually.
Yeah.
Because that's how you kept in touch with everybody that was around. Yeah. But before then, it was a call. Always. Mm-hmm. Right. Or you were decided the weekend before at the races.
Mm-hmm.
And you had that conversation the weekend before at the races with what seemed to be like your second family.
Yeah. Yep. It I'm not telling RJ what to do. Let me just go ahead and say that. And I was not at the Missouri State race. I was preoccupied with stuff that I couldn't get out of.
Not racing. He was there not racing. Listen to him. Listen to him.
You guys
he was practicing at a private track somewhere.
You guys already know what I was doing. Did RJ stand up on the turn and say, hey, we have the Best in the Midwest Series race coming up in 2 weeks? Yes, he did. I know that he did.
Yeah, he always does.
Was anybody listening? No, probably not. No. But, dude, you have to fucking jump up and down and wave your hands with giant red flags and go, hey, race other series. Come to this race. You're going to get to race people from Nebraska that you've never raced with before. Let's show who was fast.
See, and that was a thing, too. Like I was talking earlier, like racing people that you never raced before. Like that was always a cool thing.
You want to go where the competition is.
Yeah, man.
Mikey, I feel like you have been sitting here just formulating and doing numbers.
Yeah, but I really confused myself, so let's ignore everything that I've just done. I've got
this one math equation that you did.
For those of you listening, well, I was trying to figure out, with your formula that you were talking about. Last weekend, there was 265 entries.
Yes.
17 of them total were in the A class.
Yes.
Okay. So if I did my math correctly, at $40 a piece, if you did your 200% payback, it would cost the track owners an additional $680. Like they wouldn't make $680.
They would lose $680 plus $1,000
because it was $500
plus 500% or $500.
Okay,
best of Midwest.
Yeah, but I'm getting rid of the 500.
Okay, yeah,
I'm talking about just your 200%.
Just 200%.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you just did it that way, so they'd miss out on $680 in entries.
Okay.
Because they're paying that back at the 100%.
Yes. Yep.
And then they're paying back another $680, which would come out of some other class. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I was just trying to figure, like, how many entries out of other classes would that? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
How many other riders are going to have to show up to make the difference?
Let me go ahead and say this.
Would a 200% payback and extra pros bring in another 17 B or C riders to make up for that?
Let me tell you what else we got to do. We got to end this plus 25 payout shit. We got to end the plus 30 payout
But dude,
shit.
I've been looking forward to that. I just turned 30.
Great, come ride it. You can still ride the class, but you're getting a trophy, bud. It's not a pro class. Why does it pay money? Why does it pay money?
That's at Millville. Last time I raced Millville Amateur Day, I won plus 25. And
you
walked up and I got a fucking trophy.
Yeah.
And I said, "Are you serious?"
Did you give it back to him?
No, I took it because I laughed because it was funny. Because it was humorous to me. I was like, I'm gonna hang on to this. But I asked them 3 different times, like, "Are you sure? Like, there's no payout? What do you mean?" Because the paperwork just has it highlighted with a line and then the time on it. But a trophy? Really?
It's not a pro class. Why would it pay money?
Okay, because it was plus 25A. And I got a trophy.
Yeah, you know at the at a lot of area qualifiers and regionals that they don't pay the A class anymore.
Right.
450A doesn't get paid, or 250A doesn't get paid. Only 250 Pro Sport and Open Pro Sport, but 250A doesn't get paid. It's
only Open Pro Sport now.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, it's 250A and Open Pro Sport.
Now your good promoters will pay that.
Yes, they'll
will pay out,
but they do not have an obligation to pay.
No, it's not required.
Yep. And the regionals, they don't pay 250A. It's an amateur class. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me look at this closer because my glasses off.
If Mike, you look so worried about him checking your math
I'm not good at math.
Okay,
math is not my strong, even though I have a calculator.
So what is this times 30 for 74.44?
Amateur entries. I'm assuming they were $30. I'm assuming they're not 40.
No, they're 40 also. All it's just 40 across the board now. Both classes.
See, it used to be A would cost more to race.
I was going to say, I remember when it was like 25, 30, and it was like 30 for the A class, 25 for the, okay.
There are a lot of guys.
I've been out of this.
On the West Coast, that pretty much every motocross race you go to, first class is $50, second class is $20.
I believe that.
There's also a bunch of places that do that, but to me, that's a terrible business model. Do
you know what it costs to get in at Glen Helen on race day?
Probably $20.
$30 at the gate
to get in the gate for anyone coming through the gate.
You come through the gate, you're paying $30 to get in.
Yeah, that's West Coast. I mean, it's California.
And you know what? I get it.
I 100% get it. That's why I don't understand the pay $40. The second class is $25. Third class is $15. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. And if you're worried that much about entry fees, then just don't go racing. Like, because I don't know, maybe that's just me, or just, but like as a track owner, from a track owner's perspective, I don't think there's any reason they should have to discount the class rate for amateur racing.
All right, so
hold that to your mouth if you're
65, 17, 2. What? 680. Got it. There you go. You went down and over.
Yeah, like I said, I just kind of...
you are willy-nilly.
Yeah, a little willy-nilly.
All right, so we got $680. Now, we also had the plus 25 class, which was there, and plus 25A, there were 8 riders. All right, times 40. And then two-stroke open, two-stroke money class, which I rode. There were 7 guys, so two-stroke open.
Remember when it used to be 4-stroke?
Yeah.
And now it's the opposite. It's two-stroke.
4-stroke nationals.
Yeah.
There's 15 guys right there.
Okay, so you've got
so if you quit paying those 2 classes, you pretty much could pay your 200% for the A classes.
There you go.
There it is.
And why pay the plus 25 money? Why is that?
Because it's the way it's always been, Jeff.
No, it's not. That is not true. It's only been that way since 2007 or so. It's whenever they started paying plus 25.
You know, technically, at 16 you can get a job, right?
You can get a job at 14.
Oh, even better. So the 85 class should get paid now.
And then they're professional 85 riders.
85 senior.
But hey, all those, don't you guys know that my son's going to be a professional racer? So fuck it. Why not just ride super mini, never race until you're A speed, and then just go straight to the A class?
Michael Lessie, what? He rode one B race.
Yep.
No, for real.
Yeah.
He rode one B race, and there's a couple other guys like that.
Yep. I rode 4.
Like Adam Ciancerillo
Yeah.
rode one.
Probably
maybe.
Mammoth.
Like Mammoth, yeah. And then moved after waxing everyone.
Do you think that incidences like Dungy being plucked out of the B class hurt the A class?
No, they help the A class.
You think so?
All right, district. Let's say because AMA district racing promotes promotion. Okay, so you get advanced into the next class. If you are 16 years old and you are riding the novice class and you gain 75 points in a year-long series, you're getting bumped to B. If you are 18 years old or older and you make like 50 points or something like that in a series, you get bumped to the A class. That's why in AMA district racing, you show up and there's 32 entries, like you said at the AMA Pro-Am.
Sunset Ridge, there was a full gate of
42 A riders.
There was more A riders than there was B and C riders.
And that's the way it should be. That is the way that it should be, because God damn it, if you are racing motocross for 9 years or whatever, and you are the top of your class, and why be a lifetime B rider? There's no.
Can we go back for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
When was the last District 18 race?
In Missouri? No, the District 18 is still a thing.
Yeah, but like
It's in
I haven't heard
Iowa?
about.
Iowa is 22.
22.
And
Then
it's gone.
Then Illinois is 18.
Southern Illinois is 18. Northern
Who
Illinois
are
is
the
17.
AMA directors for like promoting that sort of racing?
Paul Willis.
What is he doing?
Nothing.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is,
putting lime in the sand.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like, I get that what he's saying about the District 18 and moving up and all that, but nobody races District 18 races because when was there one?
Not
Where
around
was-
here. They used to be, but
He's coming back.
Uh-oh.
He's coming back.
So the thing is, that's a Midwest problem. Like Scott was talking about, this is a
It's
Midwest
a
problem.
geographical
Dude,
deal.
you go to Ohio, you go to Pennsylvania, you go to West Virginia, bro.
Minnesota.
The A classes are fucking stacked with a capital S. You come to Missouri, there's no sanctioning body. Okay, Steve Haldeman is not going to force people to ride the A class. Should he? Yes. Will he? No.
the only time I know of anyone being forced to move up was RJ making people move up out of beginner into novice. That's the only time I can think of that ever happening, like locally. But the other part is this is not an AMA area. This is not a heavy AMA spot. Kansas is not a heavy AMA area. Iowa used to be. It's kind of gone away from being
But
AMA. Because it costs money. It's just different. Just the tracks don't operate that way. The tracks aren't AMA affiliated tracks all through Oklahoma.
I feel like
some
a lot
of them would
that,
be they'll run AMA specific events, but they're not necessarily AMA.
I feel like that would really help Jeff's cause here.
It absolutely would. That's where those races are at. People
So
move up.
We should totally forget about what we just talked about this entire podcast and just go straight to we need more AMA district races in Missouri, Kansas, and Iowa.
You'd have to, make that happen. Call your AMA congressman and get that to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Who is that?
But the thing is, the tracks have to get on board with that.
Yeah.
That means the tracks have to pay the AMA. That means the tracks have to follow the AMA rules, not their own rules.
And they're going to lose riders because don't you have to ride an AMA District 18 race, you have to be an AMA member.
Correct.
Right?
Just like the school I'm doing in northern Iowa in a few weeks, in order to do the school, you have to be an AMA member. It's the tracks.
But it's kind of a chicken
requirement.
or the egg thing. It's like if tracks don't do it, riders aren't going to be members.
To me, being an AMA member is a no-brainer. Like, you should be one anyway.
I agree. I totally
think
agree.
I've been one for 20-something years.
I actually I get pins every year.
Yeah, there you go. And just like auto withdrawal out of your account or something.
I'm a lifer. I did a lifetime thing years ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
District racing would absolutely be the answer, but getting a district assigned and set up is a whole nother thing. I mean, it's possible, but it's you have to get everybody on board for that. I think there's a whole lot more back into it, and there probably is a region that this is supposed to be, but it's not. There's no AMA tracks. I mean, bar to bar is the only track around here that I can think is even somewhat AMA, and it's only at certain events. Even like their Kansas State race, you don't have to be an AMA member.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And you go, I think Adrenaline might become one. I don't know if they are yet or not, but they might become one. But
it would be smart for them to become an AMA charter track.
It would be smart for any track to be that.
Yeah, it really is. Financially, legally.
But you have up front, you have to pay to be
being a chartered track doesn't mean that you have to have district races or AMA sanctioning. Being chartered is more so for insurance and legal purposes, more than anything else.
But district racing would be the answer, but we clearly don't have that around here.
No, we don't.
So we have to find another avenue of what that is. And I mean, yeah, you could get one promoter on board for this, but then the promoter has to promote that.
Yes, that's the other thing. And whenever I talk to Bruce about it, he's on board. He thinks it's a good idea. Kingsville, RJ and Ryan, they're on board with it. They like the idea. But the thing is, they do have to figure out a way to offset those costs. Well, God damn it! Again, why would you ride the plus 25 class? For money?
That's all we talked about racing was the plus 25 when we turned 25.
Yeah, because it's a fun class.
Right. It's a totally different. Yeah, it's an amateur class.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Exactly.
It's a fun class.
Yep. So, the payout has to be centered on the fucking pay classes, the expert classes, and it has to go back to everybody. We need to incentivize guys to show up in the A class, okay? And again,
but here's the question: is why is plus 35 get paid? Why was Josh Mass getting paid plus 20, 250A, 450A, plus 25, plus 35? Yeah. Why was he? I mean, awesome. You can make a fucking killing doing that.
And Kawasaki contingency.
And I mean, that's what I mean. And some double bonus races and everything. But what, as a promoter, why?
Yeah.
And then that just goes to another thing is like, as a promoter, why are you discounting the second race?
Because plus 35 guys are not jumping on Instagram and posting about where they're going. They never will. But you can, it would almost, what if?
When he gets his voice, he has a really crazy idea. Sarcastic.
Listen
crazy.
in.
No,
close.
No.
Turn it up.
Yeah, everybody lean in. What if we did it like how we do on Instagram? Scott, how many times have you ever do giveaways on Instagram?
Not really.
But you understand.
But I understand
the concept and importance of an Instagram giveaway.
Yeah, a contest.
A contest. There you go. What if if you race the A class, you got an extra $15 or something if you, at the time of sign up, and this would not take very long to do. If at the time of sign up you just showed them, I posted on social media that I was coming here yesterday, and then they check a little box, plus 15 for Instagram ad. Is it worth it? Is that worth it?
For a track owner or for a rider?
For the track owner. Both. It's a winning. Everybody.
Depends on who it is. Because,
True.
You're going to have some A guys that if they post that, their mom and maybe their ex-girlfriend that follow on Instagram is going to see that.
Okay.
But then there's going to be other A riders that, like if you posted that on Rip and Ruts, yes, that would be worth $15.
Yeah. So, again, maybe it's not necessarily that it's worth 15. Maybe they're overpaying for the other guy and underpaying for me. But you can't be like, okay, and
let me see how many followers you have.
Yeah, let me just see how many follows you have here real quick. Let's okay, and by my math, okay, we're gonna give you $6.50 off. And Jeff, you're worth $13.53. And thank you for coming to the races. Here's your $13.53. Good day to you, sir. You just got it. That's the same thing.
Why don't they just do free gate fee?
Sure.
Well, that might even be too much. I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
But
whatever it is.
Yeah.
The point is, who has the most following?
Axel Hodges.
Fuck you.
There we go.
Slay it, bro.
Whoever bought the most.
Yeah. But I mean, in Kansas City.
That has nothing to do with anything. I mean, that literally doesn't.
Yeah.
The
Listen,
number
I'm
of,
just-
no,
I'm
no,
spitballing
but I
it
understand
up,
what you're
yeah.
saying. I'm talking about what you're saying.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, it definitely is a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a valid thing to think about. But again, you have to get the track owner on board.
Also, it has to happen at the end of the year. If this is going to be the new way that we're going to do it, we can't do it in the middle of the season. It has to be at the end of the year. It has to be late September, early October, whenever the series are done with, when the championships are locked up, when the points are not on the line anymore. Okay, we're not talking about a lot of guys that matters to, but it's a couple, enough to wait. All right, because you know maybe these guys are like, well, fuck it, I'll do it now. Fuck it, you know. Other guys are like, I'm gonna wait because I wanted to do this, and this race in this class. Okay, I get that. And that also gives the track promoters time to promote. Hey, we are looking to advance riders into the A class. Are you up for the challenge? Will you take that call? Make it a thing that it's like, yeah, I will. I'll raise my hand. I'm going to move up to the A class. You get one guy to do it. Monkey see, monkey do. Well, shit. I beat Joe Schmo before, and he's going to ride the fucking A class? I bet I could beat him again. Well, only one way to find out.
I don't know anybody that's ever moved up and regretted moving up.
No. No, sir.
I would agree with that statement. I've never talked to anybody that has.
Yeah, I've never had anybody say, I wish I wouldn't have moved up.
Mm-hmm. No, maybe, I wish I would have moved up sooner.
That's more like it. That's more like what you're going to hear. Man, I should have done this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only people, and I'm not going to say they regret moving up, but there are certain people that when they move up, something about it, like they don't last as long as they would have in racing, maybe.
I was going to say I agree with that. And the thing is to ride the A class, it's a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have
It
to
becomes more work. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It takes away from the fun. I'm just saying it's more work than it was to ride the
It's
B
just
class.
you have to be ready to get your ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And or kick ass.
And
like it goes both ways.
Yes.
And you mentally you have to be ready for the competition. Not just, I've been winning the B class or I've been third in the B class and I just third all the time and it's just great. You know, I'm happy with it.
Let me go collect my trophy.
Right. But you have to be ready for that challenge, whether or not you're doing anything extra or preparing yourself any different, which I mean, you should. You're riding the pro class. You're a pro. But whether you're doing it or not, because most of us have a job and go to work Monday through Friday. So it kind of is a little bit different than when you're 17 and 16, 17 and you're riding the B class and mom and dad are paying for it and you're still in school. It's a little bit different. But when you move to the A class, you have to be mentally ready to get your ass kicked. And some guys think they're ready for it and then it happens and they're not. And then next thing you know, they're done racing.
So, okay.
And then they come back in 5 years.
Is it right that in the 250A class this weekend, we had a 20-year-old, a 31-year-old, and a 30-year-old in the top three? Does that seem right to you?
That's a whole. I think we've covered that on another podcast of the plus 25 class and plus 30 class
is 450A 2.0 and
open
3.0.
pro sport. Yeah, it's open pro sport number 2.
Yes.
That's all pro riders.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pro class is you have one 18-year-old and 3 29-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 32-year-olds.
Yeah. That's what's the hang up? I want to shake I want to go to the track and shake these guys and be like, what are you waiting on?
We need to probably ask Martin Davalos the same thing.
Well,
that's a different
he's
whole,
hanging back for money.
Right, he's getting paid to stay there. No, I told her that was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke.
Ha-ha. Like ha-ha. Like ha-ha
We
funny.
all laughed, yeah, like ha-ha funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's been on my mind for a while. And you know what?
I could feel that.
There's a lot of there's a couple new angles that I've looked, I've bitched endlessly about guys not moving up to A class.
Or just people going racing in general.
Yes.
Like the support your local racetrack thing.
Yeah. So, yeah. And we've taken a little break on OTB and I needed that because it gave me some new ways to think about the same stuff. And also, I don't just want this podcast to be the three of us mentally masturbating about motocross and the way that we need to fix it. because that's not going to get us anywhere. Us just jerking off about how good our ideas are, but it never goes anywhere. And I feel like, again, the three of us can truly only do so much. It is a community effort. Listen, I've called the track promoters. I've said, hey, how do we do this? Okay. How many other A riders this weekend? And again, I'm not trying to put myself up on a pedestal. How many other A riders this weekend, other than Malat, because I know that he does, found the track promoter and thanked them for overpaying? Not just paying, but overpaying us. None.
How many people racing thanked the track promoter?
Right, yeah, went out of their way and said, thanks for being open. Very few. Very few. But I can tell you, RJ and Ryan can count. They could tell you the number of people that bitched about something, but they probably couldn't tell you. It would take less than one hand how many people
came and said thanks at the end of the day.
Yeah, went out of their way to make a heartfelt instead of just, hey, thanks, man. But actually took a second. It matters. It makes a difference. It helps keep the track open for sure. Doing that kind of stuff,
especially around here where the options are few and far between.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's a real statement. I mean, a lot of these tracks are. I mean, Kingsville's your one. I want to say your only game in town that's consistently open, is going to start practices, that kind of thing. You've got Merwin, you've got Adrenaline, you've got Topeka, which are few and far between when they're open. You know what I mean? You can count on one hand how many times they're going to be open a year. Now, Adrenaline's a whole nother case. I think that's going to... But then again, it's really hard to make that a practice track for how far out it is.
Yeah.
For a majority of the Kansas City market.
That is a racetrack unless they know how to capture the hype that Jeremiah had, at the beginning, like we talked about, whenever there was 400 riders on a practice day.
Was that on during a weekday?
Oh, no. I'm talking about weekends.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. No,
yeah.
And I'm talking, just available places to ride where that they're few and far between, which has driven all these people to build tracks at their house or on their property.
And it's understandable. I get it. I get the catch. I'm with it. But it also takes a little bit of cooperation for those people who are looking for that convenient place to ride to understand that by you opening that place to ride, you are part of the problem to an extent. I just want to, and listen, I'm not going to call Bubby Mead and be like, hey, bro, you invited me out to your track this weekend, and I'm just going to tell you that you need to fucking turn everybody away, No,
dude, you're going to say, hey, thanks for letting me come out and ride, thanks for the call. I'm going racing, or whatever it is. Yeah. Or, hey, you're going to go ride at Bubby's track,
but I would like the Bubby Meads and Bubby to understand, maybe they never thought about it. Maybe they've never thought, man, being open, maybe this is
but why would he care? Let me look at it from his standpoint.
Why would he care?
Yeah. Because he doesn't race. He just wants to somewhere to ride. He's got his own track. He's got his money. It's invested. I want to ride. I'm going to ride here at my house.
I understand that. But if there are no places to race and then there are no racers, he's got a lot less people to come out and ride with him. Slowly. It's a trickle effect, okay? It would take time. It takes time. All right, we're still suffering from things that happened in the motocross industry 20 years ago with the inception of the four-stroke, 10 years ago with the recession, 2 years ago with whatever, name it, okay? It's there. There are all these short-term and long-term effects that we deal with every year in motocross. It's just understanding the bigger impact of all of these issues on our specific area. It's because it has seen a pretty big hit. Yeah,
man, I remember the state races of even 07 were 400 riders, 300 to 400 riders probably.
Well, the recession didn't actually happen until 08.
Right. I mean, I guess I'm just trying to think of when I was last hitting it. But so what were they in 2010? Were they still low? Were they 265? Were they 365?
There were...
I want to say there was more. I want to say there was still 20 A riders in 2010 at Missouri State.
I think we could look that up, actually.
Here's my... in 2010, 265 maybe for a track that was out of the way, But for a Kansas City based track like Kingsville, no, it would have been way more than that.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, in my opinion. Because, I mean, I want to say, like, even 2010 Merwin or Moberly state race, you probably still had right at 20 A riders. And now a bunch of those guys don't ride anymore. And you know what? One thing I've noticed too is like this influx of riders or new riders or whatever, even just how from year to year, how many people don't come back, which is probably a whole nother topic. But they go from, racing and riding.
Well, Scotty G.
2018 to 2019, they're not doing any of it anymore.
2012, round 5, Archview, 18 riders in 250A. There you go. Would you like me to go through them? Aaron Goley, Kyle Hussey, Tyson Humphrey, Adam Goley, Justin Fruin, Alex Malott, Bubba Pauly, Nick Peterson, Jordan Durham, Chad Crawford, Brandon Rowland, Mitch Gaylord, Anthony Karevi, Nick Nays, Cody Anderson, Mark Wishar, Scott Gebkin with a 15 DNF, and Blake Copeland.
Sounds about right.
Rough day.
Yeah. I think John and I slept in the front seat of my truck that weekend.
Let's see, you did
terrible, I'm sure.
Kingsville, Playground, Archview, and Thunder Ridge.
So there's like 5 of those guys still racing now. Maybe less.
Hey, you did really good at Carthage in 2012.
That was my place, bro.
That was your track.
I won the Dash for Cash that year. Or got second.
That was the one. That was the one. Yep. That was the one.
I was on that year. Was this 2012 you just looked up?
12, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to take a lot of work on our part to try to get track promoters on the same program and to understand that things have to change. I mean, it's just, listen, we can only ride this thing into the ground for so long before there was a couple Missouri State races last year that had less than 200 entries.
I believe it. But then which one was it? Where was it?
Yeah. I understand that there are contributing factors, but man.
I mean, look at this. Go to southern Missouri. There's Possum Hollow. And that is it.
Soggy Bottoms. But yeah.
Okay, Santa Fe Ranch. I mean, do those two count? Do they even have state races or anything?
Bose.
I think that's
on 65
like,
highway. That's considered.
I think that's like a practice track, though.
Yeah, it is. It's not a race track.
But I mean, okay. I mean, Possum Hollow is the legit only one I know of that's running prep practices.
Yep.
That prepped, in air quotes. You know what I mean? And so, down in that region, you got to travel.
Yeah, you do.
So, I mean, this just falls back to the geographic thing again. And the other part is other tracks holding races on other tracks races, which is a whole nother topic. I mean, just like 2 years ago, Archview got kicked out of the Missouri State Series, and Kingsville had like 4 state series races. It was the Kansas City Series, basically, because they ran a race on top of a Missouri State race, just like in Oklahoma. Janibers supposedly got thrown out of the series for being open on the weekend of a race, and now they changed their mind and stuff, and now they're back on the program. But, I mean, like that scenario. But the thing is like, Iowa doesn't have a state series.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does Nebraska have a state series?
The Best of Midwest.
That is
honestly, it's the premier series.
Yeah.
Now,
out of all series?
Yes, Best of Midwest is the best of
the Midwest.
Of the Midwest, yes, thank you.
So really, at 265 entries, what do you think, what's the Kansas series get?
I don't know, but there was also a KMCS race.
Right.
This weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, see why?
Well, that's all. It's a different state. How can you compare that?
It's the same market. In my opinion, that should be the same market.
But then again, why am I going to be a track and be open if I can't be open?
I mean, I understand all sides of it, but like for me, it is the same distance to go to. I understand they don't have one, but if Dragoon had a KMCS race and if Merwin had one, you're talking roughly the same distance to Dragoon and Merwin.
Right, but this KMCS race was outside of Wichita, and the other race was an hour east of Kansas City. 4 hours apart.
It would be nice.
Or 4.5 hours.
If there was, what would be good is if there was an administrative representation of the Midwest area promoters, and everybody.
Like a
one
sanctioning-
big series that ran.
Well, not
like a
necessarily
sanctioning body, like the AMA, like District 18.
with
Yeah.
district racing.
Yeah.
to an extent, no, but almost like a co-op of saying, guys, listen, there has to be, you got to have 5 hours in between, minimum 5 hours, because people will drive that far to race. I drove past a race to go race in Oklahoma City last year.
I've done that more times than I can count.
Mm-hmm.
I do it to practice.
Yeah. So people will drive that far if the promoters can just join a Facebook group, and in that Facebook group understand, number one, it's going to take cooperation. Number two, you're not always going to get the dates you want. You're not always going to get them. The state series is appointed. Missouri State Series, those weekends are appointed. The only one that is consistent is Cahokia gets Labor Day weekend, but that Mike's been running on Labor Day week. God damn it, he's had the track there for 25 years.
Every time.
Yeah, it's always on Labor Day weekend. That's just what it is. So there's certain instances like that, but we got to cross-pollinate. You go to the East Coast and you go to a motocross race in Tennessee, you have Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Florida, Alabama, Louisiana. People fucking drive to go race over there because they go where the competition is. Now everybody has their own little competitive series, and they're, it's just a circle jerk,
So you think the Missouri State Series, the Kansas Series, and the Best of the Midwest Series should be one series?
No, I don't think it should be one series. I think that they should not run on top of each other ever. That's it.
So then you expect the consumer, you expect little Timmy to race every single weekend if he wants to participate in one or two series.
No.
He would have to do that anyway, though, because if they're on top of each other, he'd be missing out on the other series.
True. Yeah, I guess I'm
so actually,
different.
yeah.
So then, okay, as a promoter, are you going to lose racers because you're racing too often? Does that make sense?
No, it would be the exact opposite, Scott.
Too many races on too many weekends. Not everybody can afford to race weekend back to back to back to back.
You're comparing, am I losing more by splitting the weekend, by having two races on the same weekend, or if you're saying, or would you lose more by putting them on separate weekends and more people going to track A than track B?
What is going to get, if you have the race in Omaha, Winterset, and there's a race in Kingsville, and let's say they're back to back, why are the people from Winterset going to drive to Kingsville when they just raced the weekend before?
Why do people go to Missouri State races 2 weeks in a row?
There's not many that are.
From Archview to...
There's only one that is. There's only one weekend where they're back to back. A lot of them are 2 to 3 weeks in between.
Okay. That's then why would there not be... Okay.
I'm just saying, what is if they can't run, I'm just saying, on top of each other when they're 3 hours apart or 5 hours apart from each other, 6 hours apart, 10 hours apart, whatever, then what is the chance of having too many races for people to do, so less people race?
I don't think it would work that way.
You don't think so?
No.
I'm just brainstorming here, guys. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, good. We need that. I don't believe it would be that way because, like we have, how many times did we say we went where everybody else was going? Part of the problem this weekend at challenge tracks was nobody. I don't know.
Okay, so
why were the Saturday night guys not there? Why were the Thursday night guys not there? Why were the King of KC Sunday races guys not there? Why were the Missouri State races there?
The Missouri State race. People have their series and they stick to their series.
They are stuck to a series and they're avoiding opposite state competition.
100%. I would agree with that.
So you got to incentivize people to go race
at your track as a track promoter, not as a series, not as part of a series.
Yeah.
Because bar to bar gets a turnout. no matter what.
Yeah, the
every
gates-
race they have,
yeah.
it could be KMCS series, which is, that's I'm just throwing numbers. 350
Yeah,
would
good.
be a big entry, let's say.
That's a healthy
At bar to
day.
bar, they're going to get 400.
Yeah.
No matter whether it's a KMCS series race or
Just open.
just open for a practice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to get big numbers anyways because the product is good.
Uh-huh.
But when you say product, I think a lot of it is not just like the track conditions. Like I always enjoyed going to like Carthage because it was a really clean, the track was really nice, the facility was really nice, the people were not, it felt like a show.
That
when
was
you went
something
there.
I actually wanted to talk about.
They did the
as-
national anthem. They had a really good announcer. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They had a good fence.
They had
The
a good
grass
fence.
was
You
mowed.
knew
the
what was going on.
bleachers weren't going to fall
Yes.
down. It was a professional-looking facility that
Yes.
you went into.
There are definitely people that are in the market for a track like that, and then there's people like us that would go to Cahokia, which, I mean, you're going to get shit on by a pigeon whenever you're signing up for the race.
Yes.
But that doesn't matter because it's the best track within 7 hours.
You might also clip like a cow leg in the first turn. And
Yeah, he might run
Or
over
like
a wild animal.
Yeah.
2x4 or something's coming out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's you got to meet halfway in between. You got to understand your market and play to it. You know, that's what Carthage didn't have, the most biggest, baddest ass motocross track. They had the facility.
And always had big turnouts.
Yeah,
The
they
pits
did.
were full every time. And you were parked on top of each other.
Mhm.
It always had 28 riders.
Perhaps it was tri-state area location too. Carthage was a good meeting point between Springfield, Kansas City, Tulsa, Wichita.
I would agree with that.
2 hours from everywhere.
Yeah. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't that always happen at Kingsville being an hour east of the city? Grain Valley, every race, when you ran it, how many entries did you have in 2010? I don't even know if you had it then.
On a state race,
Any race weekend.
three
Every time, right?
plus. Yeah,
30 minutes from downtown.
I'm going to make a lot of enemies by saying this.
say it.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, we ostracize ourselves.
Okay. When Merwin first opened,
DeBomb, Merwin,
DeBomb,
got it.
I absolutely hated that track. I hated the dirt. I hated everything about it.
Yeah.
But John made it such a show. There were flags waving.
Yes.
There was parasailers coming up shooting T-shirts. I didn't miss a single race. I hated that track more than any. I would rather go race on an asphalt driveway.
But it was DeBomb.
Yes, but the whole atmosphere and like the whole thing was so cool
Yeah.
that it made it. I wanted to go to that race.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last race you went to that was like that?
Aside from Outdoor Nationals,
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't count. That's a professional event. Amateur race, local race, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
What makes anybody want to
Honestly-
go camp at the races anymore?
Honestly, to the last race that I could think of that I've gone to that kind of had that atmosphere, but it was a little more circus act, was Arena Cross.
Yeah.
I-
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So,
But they had the
But that's the
intro,
show,
They
yeah.
had the show part. It just made you feel cool to be there. You know.
so
It made it an event, not a race.
Yes.
I'm identifying my bias here because I've been doing it for so long that shit doesn't interest me at all.
No, we're
Yeah.
not talking about us.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
in
not talking about.
general.
I'm not talking about the pro class
You're
because
talking
that
about
doesn't
mom and
matter to the
dad.
pro class.
Yeah, that's what you're
because
talking
the
about is
pro
mom and dad.
class, we want to know. It used to be you wanted to know how fast you could get out of there so you could get on your way to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or get to the next race or whatever, where you could go race again,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's I got to get home so I can mow the grass before I got to
You
get up
know-
for work tomorrow.
The other thing that I think actually really helps is people like Sarah Ball.
Absolutely.
When you know Sarah Ball is going to be at a race and you could get badass pictures of yourself.
Sarah Ball ups the stock of any track that she shows up.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's a lot of good photographers. I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's probably people listening that are like, well, I take pictures at. I'm not saying Sarah Ball's the only one. I'm just using her
That's
as
an
an example.
Or perfect example is Tina at Bar to Bar. I literally push the refresh button after going to bar
And
1,000
wait for
times
it.
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that adds to it. It's like
Absolutely.
part of the experience. You have to make it an experience to go racing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to a track, even if for a lot of guys, again, not us, if you go to a track and the track's in great shape and your buddies are there or whatever. For a lot of people, that's not enough. Like if they spend the money to go there, they drive there, they spend the gas money, they pay the entry money. They want like an event. They want it to feel like a vacation.
Yeah. It does need to be an event, for sure. It's hard for me to say that because, and it's hard for us because the selling point is the surface, is the track surface. That's all it boils down to for us.
Right.
Is the dirt, the surface, the prep.
Yes,
that is 100% for a pro rider. That's what matters.
Yeah, but then whenever Jimmy and Bobby are there with their parents and they're riding 65 open and 85 7-11, they don't care about what the track is like. It's
a dirt bike track.
Yeah.
They get to go ride their dirt bike.
It's like at Merwin. I was announcing there and just doing my normal thing, and Bill came up and he said, "Hey, I want you to interview this kid. He was 65 rider or whatever." And I was like, "Okay." And I didn't really think much of it. I interviewed, he was so stoked, and he came down and his mom and dad were taking pictures and all this. And then the next thing I know, the next race, his whole family is like up at the fence cheering him on. Like that made their weekend, like it became an experience for them.
Just like KTM Junior Challenge.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
The KTM Junior Challenge for the pro guys is just, it's not, but it's a waste of time, has no bearing on them. They just want to race. But for that whole family, for all the racers, it's it's more than
that's
just
a life-changing
experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a one-in-a-lifetime type of deal.
Yes.
And so, I mean, as a local promoter, you want to figure out how do you recreate that every time someone's through your gate.
Yes.
And I can't tell you who's done that. I mean,
Bruce.
Yeah.
And you know what Bruce has on his side? Enthusiasm.
He wants to do it. His team wants to do it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing he has on his side is his facility.
Mm-hmm. If Bruce, I've never been to Jeeps. I wonder what it's like at Jeeps because they're right down the road.
I've been to Jeeps.
Yeah. It makes me wonder what kind of I know that they put on that they have their Saturday night races and their little Jeep crew club. It makes me wonder what it's like for them. But I don't know. I haven't been to a race that put on other than Bruce's.
Because do you remember
checkered flag flies? I mean, I'm out of the gate as fast as possible.
Right. But do you remember? Do you remember the pit bike races at Grain Valley?
Yeah, that was huge.
Usually after they prepped the track, so it was a muddy swamp, dangerous mess.
There was a lot of excitement about that.
But it was everybody that was stuck around for it.
Yeah.
On Saturday night after practice.
The closest that I would say that I just thought of is, when did Red Bull come out to Merwin and they had like the Red Bull truck
and the Toyota guys came out?
Yeah, and they had the big Red Bull like tent and they had like lounge chairs and free Red Bull.
Troy had that lined up. That was all Troy's doing.
That was when RJ stole it.
The guy last name is Hill, and his son raced little bikes, and he was like the Toyota rep for this area.
Yes.
And they were tight. They had a relationship there. Now he lives in California, but anyways, I don't know. He took a different job with Toyota.
That would be the last race I could think of. Was that one
where it had it, and it's like some piece of a show.
They had like the DJ was going. They had the Red Bull girls were walking around with the backpacks, handing out Red Bulls. Like that was.
Yeah, I don't
banners, flags. They had the Red Bull inflatable thing.
Oh, okay. So my dad told me, he was talking about Grain Valley. One of the things that like whenever he first opened Grain Valley, before he put the mulch in the dirt, one of the coolest parts about Grain Valley was showing up to the track and seeing that freshly painted white building, the mowed grass, the nice fence, the orange and blue flags. Yes, the X2 on the starting gate.
Yep.
And then the pennants.
Yep.
Lining the track, Kawasaki Team Green, Dunlop,
the signs
Honda.
across the back and the trees.
The barbecue place in town that bought a $500 board. That stuff made it one up. That made it the next level, and there were a lot of other track promoters that kind of had to fall into line with that. But yeah, my dad made sure to just kind of give them a little, whenever they come in the gate. It's a small gesture to make somebody feel like, well, I'm getting an experience here, not just the races.
Because I'm sure there's people that didn't
remember riding through the tunnel.
Yeah.
Was part of it until they got worn and you whacked your head on the top when you didn't lean down far enough.
I'm almost like embarrassed at myself that I forgot, what it was like to show up to the track and be interested in that stuff.
Here's a perfect example of a story I can tell. Is the first time I went to Millville as a 125C schoolboy rider,
Yeah.
13, 14, whatever I was. Literally on a 125. And I went with Logan Fuller. We took the rig, drove all
Stanky?
night. Yeah. Smelly. Drove all night. I don't even think we rode practice day. Like we didn't know what we were doing. We got up there and it was race day. Or maybe it was practice day. I don't know. And you park in you can't see the track from where you park at. You walk in, you go across the creek, like, oh man, this is cool. And then it was like this foggy haze, and all you saw was this open valley of dirt bike track. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being this little kid in awe, like this is heaven. Yeah. This is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like I couldn't stop talking about it. Sprint to the start gate with the big sign behind it. Look at that. And then run over here straight across to the fence like a kid in a candy store. Just back and forth. The big tower and the signing thing and the big finish line tower and the hills, and like you just ran up the hills as fast as you could. And that having that experience, I can think of it, I can feel it to this day as I'm talking about it, of how cool that was. And I still get that every time I go to Millville. Yeah. When you ride across the creek to go to the starting line, or when you walk up and find your spot on the fence or the hill to watch.
I had that whenever I did the national there last year, but then that kind of got stolen from me whenever I was up on top of the watchtower above the starting gate, only for me to find out that the practice on the track was my group.
Man, these guys look good.
Yeah. I mean, because they put me in Group A. So I was like, whatever, I never even looked at the listing.
Isn't that the hardest part about like going to big events, like little stuff like that that you'd forget to check?
Never even looked. I just
like leaving without picking up your money.
Yep. Just climbed up into the top of the tower, and I'm up there watching with Brent Rouse, and then all of a sudden I hear two-stroke fire up, and Brent's brother Dane is at the bottom. Jeff! And I turn around, he's like, this is your practice! And I'm like, what? Sprinted down those little stairs, got down there, he's got my helmet, and he's like, the rate scanned you, go, go, go. I'm like, this is awesome!
So, I mean, and that's exactly it, the experience. And I mean, what are you're checking the time?
We got to wrap this up. We're at 2.5 hours. I don't want the file to get too big. It's 7 o'clock. Is that guy still coming, Mike?
Actually, no.
Oh, well, either way, the file's getting pretty big here soon.
How long are like other podcasts, other motocross podcasts, now that there's like 25 of them?
Pulp is 4 hours, 4.5 hours. Whiskey Throttle, the David Pingree Whiskey Throttle, those are 2.5, sometimes 3. Kurt Lucas's Whiskey Throttle is usually about 2 hours. DMXS, sometimes they're 3 to 4 hours. So this is not the longest one by any means. It's one of the shorter ones.
How do we get our clips in on the we don't talk about pro racing, never mind, on the Red Bull series on YouTube?
Oh yeah,
have you seen the new ones? Moto Spy or something? Watch them, they're pretty good. But it's about Supercross this year, and it's got all the podcast guys, different clips, like even from the guys in Australia or whoever they are, and like they're in the background while the guys are riding and going through. It's pretty cool. It's kind of that's the narrative to the deal. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, our podcast will never go anywhere because we don't talk about pro racing,
and
we don't talk about shit that we don't know about,
and we don't tell people what we're talking. Like we don't do the social media part, so people don't talk about. No. They don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, the people that matter listen to this.
There you go.
Yeah,
and we love you, people. Thank you for listening.
And if you're listening, ride the goddamn A class.
Yes,
all of you. Even if you're a 54 to 6 rider, you sign up for A on Sunday.
That's right, baby.
You line right up there next to the 681, 481, or whatever number he is.
Yeah. Some guy came up to me and was like, give you an extra $100 if you win. I was like, why? He's like, because you're on the 125 two-stroke. I said, better bet. Give me an extra $100 if I'm the first 125 two-stroke. And he's like, wait. I'm the only one. Oh, okay.
Final thoughts, Mike?
If you're a track, make an experience. If you're a rider, go race.
Yeah. Scotty G, anything?
Support your local racetrack.
And I'm going to follow that up with support your local dealer too, because without the dealers, dealers are equally as important as the motocross track. Without the motocross tracks, you don't have a dealer. Without a dealer, you don't have motocross tracks.
We just sounded like we just gave 3 Miss America answers. Like that
and
was
world peace.
Yes, and world peace.
And world peace.
Yes.
And then I found $2.